Chapter 14. After hanging up the phone, Lu Cheng clenched his teeth. But when he thought of the beautiful future he hoped for, he still got rid of the temptation of the game with great perseverance. He used the excuse of the crash in exchange for a few angry curses. He climbed into bed. There were still 10 minutes before Geezer Sher's bedtime. He sighed and took out his phone. He logged into QQ and clicked open a conversation with Yen Zheka. Another tired and sore day. Lying in bed, I feel like a dead dog. Woof woof woof. Yen Zheka replied with 3 words. Lu Cheng couldn't help but laugh. You too. I chose the special training. I have to finish it even if I have to kneel. Yen Zheka sent a cute emoji with arms akimbo. Yeah, I have to finish this semester. Lu Cheng didn't dare to brag. He changed the topic. I never thought you would be so different on the internet. That, woof woof woof, just now made me laugh to death. As he spoke, he sent a crying and laughing emoji. Yen Zheka sent a shy emoji. I don't have the burden of an idol. Unconsciously, Lu Cheng was in a good mood. They chatted until 10:30. With unparalleled perseverance, he said goodnight to Yen Zheka and fell into a deep sleep with hopes and dreams. The next day, the alarm clock rang on time. Lu Cheng woke up with a start. He quickly turned it off for fear of disturbing his roommates. If it weren't for the fact that the new campus was in the suburbs and couldn't rent a house, he would have moved out so as not to disturb others. Lu Cheng climbed out of bed and washed his face with cold water. He was completely awake. Then he changed into the 3rd set of exercise clothes, which was also his last set. It was late autumn and the first set was still in use. It seemed that he had to buy another set to form a virtuous cycle. After brushing his teeth, Lu Cheng picked up the key that Geezer Sher asked someone to give him and quietly left the room. He went down the stairs and opened the dormitory door under the dim light of the street lamps. He slowly ran to the lakeside in the silent mist. It was still a few minutes before 5:50, but Geezer Sher was already waiting there with a bicycle beside him. Master got here earlier than me. Lu Cheng suddenly felt grateful. He ran over and bowed respectfully. Not bad. I didn't have to call to urge you. Geezer Sher laughed. Before I teach you the other stances, let's do some long-distance running. Long-distance running? Lu Cheng asked in confusion. What was the point of long-distance running when he had the Jindan to recover fatigue? Geezer Sher took out a cigarette and lit it. In the body refining stage, it's enough to rely on explosive force, muscle strength, and footwork. But you have to remember that the key point of the Danqi stage is not the Qi, but the Dan. The harmony of the body is almost perfect, and the strength, willpower, and muscles are integrated into one. They work in harmony and have absolute reaction, just like a big Dan. Therefore, it's hard for the body to reach this stage without endurance. Why is it that ordinary martial arts schools, high school martial arts clubs, university martial arts clubs, and ordinary martial arts dojos rarely produce martial artists of the Danqi realm, even if they don't lack good pole standing skills? It's just that they lack similar knowledge. Heh, don't be fooled by my simple words. A single sentence of truth is equivalent to 10,000 books of lies. Disciple understands. Lu Cheng was troubled. But do we really have to run? Geezer Sher clicked his tongue and said, Don't be afraid of difficulties, hardships and tiredness. Which strong martial artist didn't go through this? Don't worry. I'll follow you and supervise you. Then he smiled maliciously. Of course. I'm old and weak. I don't have any stamina. You run. I'll ride. He patted the bicycle beside him. He was very satisfied. Are you sure? Lu Cheng looked at Geezer Sher with hesitation and sincerity. Run for me. You're so young. Don't be afraid of tiring. Geezer Sher pulled a long face. After a long time, Lu Cheng continued to run in front of Geezer Sher with a straight face. Geezer Sher rode his bicycle and fell behind in the distance. He was out of breath as he pedaled. His lungs were like bellows. Stop, you brat. Stop. You want to tire me to death. Lu Cheng stopped and held back his laughter. He deliberately panted and watched Geezer Sher climb mountains and wade through rivers to catch up. What did you eat when you were growing up? Why practice martial arts? Practice long-distance running. Geezer Sher was out of breath. It's you who let me run. Lu Cheng's eyes were full of innocence. But this long-distance running was rewarding. Compared to before, his stamina had improved significantly. Unlike the day when he first got the Jindan, he was out of breath after a short jog and needed the Jindan to replenish his stamina. Today, he ran at least several times the distance of normal jogging. In other words, the Jindan's recovery of fatigue would not affect the improvement of his stamina. Because of this recovery, his stamina improvement was far beyond normal. Thinking of this, Lu Qing almost couldn't hide his smile. After a while, Xiaofan finally calmed down. He said with a dark face, "You can't stop running in the future. But you can't be lazy." After that, he took Lu Cheng to a quiet place nearby and explained the Thunder Sex Lightning and Fire Stance's Ice Sex Condensation Stance in detail. The former was mainly to train the body's explosive force. The latter was to train the senses and improve concentration. Coupled with the yin-yang stance to control the body's coordination, strength training, long-distance running training, and footwork training, they formed a complete training system. According to Xiaofan, he replaced the Thunder Sex Thunder Stance with the Ice Sex Condensation Stance. Although the effect was not better, it was more suitable for people like Lu Cheng who had missed the best training time. In pole standing, every extra effort Lu Cheng put in, he could clearly see the corresponding gains. Naturally, he was obsessed with it and didn't slack off. The following special training became more and more diligent. Because there was no class on Thursday night, he relaxed and filled with motivation. On Friday night, Lu Cheng returned to the dormitory with his school bag slung over his shoulder. Before he entered the small room, he heard the laughter inside. "What's so lively?" He opened the door and saw Kai Zhongming sitting in his seat. "Did you forget? Today we had a get-together with the girls in the dormitory." Model worker, Zhang Jingye replied with a smile. "Hey, how was it?" Although Lu Cheng didn't want to go, he was very interested in this matter and was very concerned about their follow-up. Kai Zhongming smiled proudly and said, "Cheng, with me there, how could the result be bad?" "Yeah, we're even considering giving Casanova a new nickname. You don't know, but he completely controls the atmosphere. Just by opening his mouth, he can make the girls in front of him laugh non-stop. For this kind of person, we feel that all his abilities and strengths are in his mouth." Zhao Chong, the head of the dormitory, was also full of smiles. "Therefore, according to the naming convention of the Battle of the Kings, we're going to call him Talker." "Are you praising me or insulting me?" Kai Zhongming seemed to be very satisfied with this nickname. "Yes, once the Talker comes out, the pack of wolves will bow down," Lu Qing teased. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Don't think you can get away with it. I'm asking about the get-together dormitory." "Not bad." Old Chiu held back for a long time and squeezed out 2 words. Kai Zhongming smiled and said, "Not bad indeed. There's a beauty, a real beauty." Yeah, Zhuang Xiaojun is really beautiful. She looks good without glasses, but she also looks good with glasses." Zhang Jingye echoed, "Unfortunately, I heard from Guaqing that she has a boyfriend." "Not a boyfriend, just a suitor who is close to you," Zhao Chong retorted. Lu Cheng was stunned. "Guaqing? Why does this name sound so familiar?" "Yes, Guaqing of the Martial Arts Club, the one who trained with you." "What a coincidence, fate. Kai Zhongming smiled and said, "She seems to like old Chiu." "Bah, no such thing." Qiu Zhigao quickly denied. "I feel the same. She has been asking old Chiu all kinds of questions." "You two are a good match." Zhao Chong agreed. Zhang Jingye also said, "Old Chiu, don't deny it. When we last talked with Pan Shui, she also said that Guaqing was satisfied with you." "Old Chiu, just sacrifice your body. The dormitory will be closer in the future, and Chong, model worker and Zhuang Xiaojun will have more chances to meet." Kai Zhongming joked. Zhao Chong and Zhang Jingye laughed. Old Chiu looked at Lu Cheng helplessly. "Cheng, they are obsessed. Only you can do justice to them." "Well, Guaqing and Yan Zheka's relationship seems to be getting better." Lu Cheng held back his laughter and said righteously, "Old Chiu, just give in. Get lost." Old Chiu was angry and amused. Lu Cheng stopped joking and changed the topic. "Guaqing, Zhuang Xiaojun, what about the other 2 girls?" "Pan Shui?" "One is Pan Shui. The other is Yu Fangfang. Yu Fangfang is introverted and looks, well, average. Kai Zongming said, Pan Shui is small, lively, easy to get along with, and cute. But she has a boyfriend. Zhang Jingye interrupted. Or some South Asian exchange student. Ah, from our school? Lu Qing asked. Yeah, those South Asian exchange students smell so bad. Every time I see them, I want to pinch my nose. I don't know why Pan Shui likes him. Zhao Cheng sighed. Old Qiu added, Guaqing said they met at the foreign language corner. Ah, the foreign language corner was created for this kind of thing. Zhao Cheng said righteously. Yes, yes. Ah, good girl. Damn foreign language corner. Zhang Jingye and Old Qiu agreed. At this moment, Zhao Cheng suddenly stood up, took out a book and was about to leave. Hey Cheng, where are you going? Kai Zongming and Lu Cheng asked at the same time, confused. Zhao Cheng turned around and nodded solemnly. It's still early. I'm going to the foreign language corner to practice my English. Lu Cheng almost spat out his saliva. Cheng, why do you always betray the revolution with your thick eyebrows and big eyes? The rest of them laughed. Even Zhao Cheng couldn't help but blush. At this moment, Lu Cheng's phone rang. It was Geezer Shi. Lu Cheng thought to himself, is he trying to rush me to sleep again? Hello. There was someone else in the dormitory, so he didn't call his master. Geezer Shi said on the other end of the phone, book yourself a train ticket to Pingjiang City at 7 p.m. tomorrow. There's only one train at that time. Lu Cheng was confused. Pingjiang City? Yes, Pingjiang City, Shanbei Province. Geezer Shi said in a low voice. Don't ask why. Wait for me at the train station at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow. The capital of Shanbei Province? Yeah, I don't know where to go, so I'm a little worried. Lu Cheng sighed. Geezer Shi was invited by the headmaster himself, so there shouldn't be any problem. Besides, Cheng, you don't have the looks, talent, or money. Why would I kidnap you? Maybe it's because of the university martial arts competition. Shanbei University is in Pingjiang. Kai Zongming said sarcastically. That makes sense. Lu Qing nodded. Could it be that Geezer Shi wanted to check out the details of Shanbei University, the champion of last year's university martial arts competition, so he brought his cheap disciple along for a free trip? But why did he have to pay for the ticket himself? Seeing Lu Cheng heave a sigh of relief, Kai Zongming suddenly changed the topic and said with a wretched smile, I've heard that some perverted old men are obsessed with the bodies of children or young people of the same sex because of their aging bodies. They want to reminisce about their past. Do you think Geezer Shi will? Bah! Lu Cheng almost vomited just thinking about Kai Zongming's description, but he was inexplicably scared and worried. What if? It was better to be safe than sorry. Kai Zongming laughed and then said in a sly tone, but don't worry, Cheng. Even if Geezer Shi is a pervert, his target should be Lin Quebec. I'm a talented and good-looking guy, so I won't fall for you. Thank you for your comfort, Lu Cheng said, gnashing his teeth. After Kai Zongming's interruption, he recovered his mood. He washed his face with the hot water left in the bottle, soaked his feet, brushed his teeth and went to bed. He didn't dare to turn on the computer for fear that he would be too tempted by this bitch to sleep. Lu Cheng lay flat, took out his phone, and went straight to QQ without checking the forum. Let me tell you a piece of gossip. Lu Cheng sent a laughing emoji to Yan Zhaka. After a few seconds, Yan Zhaka replied, What kind of gossip? From high school? No. When I went back to the dormitory after class, I found that those guys had a social gathering with a girls' dormitory tonight. It's from the Chinese department, Guaqing's dormitory. Lu Cheng considered his tone, implicitly mentioning that he didn't join the social gathering. Yan Zhaka sent a dumbfounded emoji. What a coincidence. How did you guys end up at Guaqing's dormitory? Our dormitory's old Qiu saw that someone had written a girl's dormitory phone number on the desk in the classroom. They were afraid that it was a prank, so they changed the ending number and replaced it with the number 32 of our dormitory room 302. Then it turned out that Guaqing's dormitory was right opposite. Lu Cheng shared the whole story. You two dormitories seem to be fated to meet. Did they agree to the social gathering just like that? Yan Zhaka asked excitedly. Lu Cheng replied with a snickering emoji. Maybe it's because I've just entered the school in my first year. Everything is new to me and I'm curious about everything. I'm also interested in this kind of random social gathering. When I'm in my second year, I'm more experienced and knowledgeable. That's true. Yen Zheka sent an emoji of crossing her fingers and holding her chin in deep thought. If we meet in our dormitory, I'll probably agree. It's quite interesting. By the way, it said that Guaqing has taken a liking to our dormitory's old Xiao. Lu Cheng revealed important gossip. Yen Zheka sent an emoji of shining eyes. Really? It said that. Several guys in our dormitory can feel it. Her roommates also say so in private. Lu Cheng wasn't sure. Oh. Yen Zheka replied quickly. What do you think of old Xiao? I have to help Qing check him out. He's quite strong, which makes him a good match for Guaqing. He's also quite honest and easy to get along with. He's half a study maniac. Lu Cheng told her his impression of old Xiao. Of course, as the source of their dormitory seeds, old Xiao was a good person who benefited everyone. This kind of thing was not worth mentioning. With this gossip, the two chatted happily. Before they knew it, it was already 10:30. Lu Cheng endured the heartache and reluctantly said goodnight, saying that the special training and classes were too busy and tiring. After another round of sparring, Geezer Sher announced that today's special training and Saturday's martial arts class were over. The special training on Sunday was postponed to 9 o'clock because he had something to do. This news immediately caused a burst of cheers. For the members who participated in the special training, they could finally sleep for one more hour. After a few days of suffering, most of the freshmen who had clamored to join had left. Only 2 were still persisting. But according to Lu Cheng's observation, he would probably not see them next week. At this time, he saw Yen Zheka and Guaqing walking over together. They didn't need to be close to him like before. Cheng, right? So it's your dormitory's social gathering. As soon as they met, Guaqing said straightforwardly, what a coincidence. By the way, why didn't you join? I happened to have something to do, so I let little Ming, Kai Zhongming, take the place. Lu Cheng glanced at Yen Zheka and saw that her expression was normal. Guaqing did not ask further. She smiled and said, we're all members of the martial arts club, and we're all in the same dormitory. It's fate that brings us together. Besides, we had a good chat last night. Why don't we pick another time? Next weekend or the weekend after that? Our dormitory mates can go hiking or karaoke. Or find a place with barbecue for a picnic. This girl is quite straightforward and very active. Lu Cheng hesitated and didn't directly agree. He was thinking about what excuse he could find to not go. And this kind of thing had to be discussed with old Xiao, Chong, and model worker. He couldn't make a decision on his own. But judging from their praise for Zhuang Xiaojun, they would definitely follow. Just as he was hesitating, Guaqing turned to Yen Zheka and said, Kai Zhongming was there yesterday. It's not good to not invite him next time. Including Cheng, there will be 5 boys. Although it doesn't matter if there are fewer girls, you and Cheng are old classmates. Why don't you go together? Yen Zheka said with interest, okay, it's my first social gathering. Then it's settled. Next week or the week after that. Lu Cheng agreed without hesitation. As for Chong and Xiaoming's opinions? Who cares if they die? Guaqing's face was full of joy. Okay, let's go back and calculate the schedule. We'll see which day is suitable. This conversation was really pleasant. A group of boys in the peak of their hormones naturally agreed to the request of the social gathering dormitory without any hesitation. Kai Zhongming was also very interested in similar activities. Saturday afternoon was a rare break for Lu Cheng. He browsed the forum, read novels, chatted with Yen Zheka, and played games with his roommates who didn't go out. He felt relaxed and comfortable, which he hadn't felt in a long time. At 5 o'clock, he stuffed his change of clothes into his school bag and went out to take the school bus to the downtown area. Then he booked a taxi online to go to the train station. Fortunately, Mom gave me an extra 800 yuan this month. Otherwise, I wouldn't have enough money. Lu Cheng followed the crowd and went through the security check step by step. He touched his wallet while he was at it. When he arrived at the ticket gate, it was only 6 o'clock. He chatted on the forum and QQ group while waiting for Geezer Sher's arrival. At 6:40, Geezer Sher arrived in his old t-shirt. He praised Lu Cheng. Not bad, you're very punctual. During the morning practice, Lu Cheng was very focused and didn't ask much about going to Pingjiang. When he saw Geezer Shi, the crazy words of Kai Zoming suddenly flashed in his mind. He couldn't help but take a step back and put some distance between them. Why are you looking at me like that? Geezer Shi looked at him in confusion. No, nothing. I'm just curious about what we're going to do in Pingjiang. Lu Cheng said dryly. Damn it, it's all because of little Ming's nonsense. I'm a little confused because of him. I'll let you know when it's time. Geezer Shi didn't care. When the time came, Lu Cheng got on the bus and sat down. Lu Cheng was very nervous and uneasy. He only answered Geezer Shi's questions. Fortunately, their tickets were not in the same carriage. He let out a long sigh of relief. It was only an hour and a half from Songqing to Pingjiang. Lu Cheng took a short nap and arrived at this historical provincial capital. They got on the taxi. As expected, Geezer Shi's destination was Shanbei University. Lu Cheng relaxed a little. But soon, he became nervous again because they stepped into a hotel that looked like a guest house. If it was a standard room with 2 beds, 1 room. Lu Cheng felt a little nervous. 2 rooms. Geezer Shi took out the money and ID. Hearing this, Lu Cheng finally calmed down. He cursed Kai Zongming in his heart for spouting nonsense. Starting tomorrow at the usual time. Geezer Shi said before entering the room. It was a silent night. Lu Cheng could occasionally hear the heart-wrenching coughs next door. The next day at 5:40 a.m. He finished washing up and left the hotel with Geezer Shi. They entered the campus of Shanbei University. They came to a corner of a big sports ground. Geezer Shi observed for a moment and pointed at a boy who was practicing slow motion in the distance. Do you see that guy? Lu Cheng gazed over and saw that Shanbei University was still submerged in the night scenery. Under a ginkgo tree, yellow leaves fluttered in the wind. A boy in a white martial arts suit was practicing his martial arts. Lu Cheng could barely see his face because of the darkness, but he could feel his high level of martial arts from his punches and kicks. I see him, he answered puzzled. He came to Pingjiang just to see this boy? Geezer Shi chuckled. His name is Peng Liyun. He entered Shanbei University last year. At that time, he had already reached the realm of body refining Big Dan and Qi generation. He was a professional 8th pin fighter. After that, he defeated the head of the martial arts club and led Shanbei University to the semi-finals. He won the National University Martial Arts Competition. He's Peng Liyun? Lu Cheng had heard this name many times in the forum. He didn't expect to see the real person today. He was said to be a genius among geniuses. He had a good chance of reaching the top 3 pin. Geezer Shi nodded slightly. He is a direct disciple of the Shangqing sect and the nephew of the current warrior sage, Qian Donglu. He liked to think since he was young and often said, martial arts need to be derived from nature. What is nature? Physics and biology. That was why he chose to enter the physics department of Shanbei University last year. The reason I brought you here is to show you that this kind of true genius, a genius with status and background, does not slack in the slightest on the martial path. No matter how much he likes to play, go to bars and play games, he will start on time at 5:30 every day. No matter what day you come, you can see him. You see, we came here on a whim, but we still saw him. Even such geniuses are working so hard. If you want to catch up to them, how can you not suffer more and suffer more? Lu Cheng was surprised at Peng Liyun's background at first, but he was gradually shaken by Geezer Shi's words. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, and if he had been mentally prepared, such a scene might not have had such an effect. But when he and others came to Shanbei on the spur of the moment, they still saw Peng Liyun getting up at 5 o'clock a.m., working day and night, and persisting in training. He could not help but be shocked. Only when there was a comparison could there be enlightenment. This was a real genius. He was like this, let alone himself. You saw and understood. Then you can go back. Geezer Shi turned around and left with his hands behind his back. Chapter 16. After the trip to Pingjiang, Lu Cheng felt that he had calmed down, really calmed down, from the inside out. In the past, he had gritted his teeth and persevered with great perseverance in the face of hard training every day. He was even firmer because every little bit of effort paid off. But in the end, He had to be patient in order to achieve the professional 9th pin in 1 or 2 years. For the sake of winning Yan Zhika's favor, for the sake of a bright future, he was eager for quick success and instant benefits. This kind of mentality could indeed drive him to practice hard in a short time. But when he encountered certain setbacks, when his achievements were not as expected, he would inevitably feel even more depressed and lost, tormenting his mind and bringing unpredictable consequences. Guard against arrogance and rashness. It was a good rule from ancient times. He was not arrogant, but he was restless. After calming down, Lu Qing gradually integrated the daily training into his life. He was calm, gentle, and firm. Even his temperament seemed to have changed, which made Kai Zhongming quite surprised. He often teased, "Did Cheng encounter the unspoken rules? Why do I feel that his temperament has changed a lot?" Facing his words, Lu Qing only said a few words indifferently. "Come here, I'll strangle you." 2 weeks passed unknowingly. Lu Cheng felt that he seemed to have broken through a bottleneck and stepped into a new level in yin-yang stance, thunder and fire stance, and condensation stance. His ability to coordinate his body at will improved significantly. His temporary explosive force in 2 or 3 moves improved significantly. His concentration and calmness in martial arts competitions improved significantly. His slightly myopic eyes seemed to have recovered their original clarity. Sometimes he could even feel others' gazes. It was Saturday morning again. It was close to 12 o'clock. Li Mao stopped smiling and said solemnly, "Cheng, this is the last time." Lu Cheng nodded slightly and got into position, waiting for the second-year senior brother to feed him. Li Mao did not simply go straight for the middle like 2 weeks ago. With a step, he swam to Lu Cheng's left side. His right hand became a palm knife, diagonally chopping toward Lu Cheng's neck. Lu Cheng did not panic. He raised his left arm and blocked Li Mao's palm. But before he could counterattack, Li Mao took another step and came behind him. But when Li Mao's foot landed, Lu Cheng kicked back without warning. It seemed that he had been prepared. "All right." He praised and took another step forward, dodging the kick. Then he used his footwork and circled around Lu Cheng like a dragon. At this point, Lu Cheng no longer had to deliberately maintain his half-silent and half-alert state. His mind seemed to be divided and converging at the same time. He focused on observing his opponent's movements while calmly and quickly making decisions, countering each move as it came. He firmly defended himself and didn't get flustered by Li Mao's swimming body palm. After fighting for a while, Li Mao's footwork suddenly changed. He suddenly slid closer and followed up with a rushing step cannon fist. His fist was like a cannon, and the wind roared. It had the power to split open a mountain. Lu Qing didn't dare to take it head-on. He turned sideways and pushed his wrist. However, one of Li Mao's feet had already come in between his legs. If he placed it well, it could be used as a fulcrum for his throwing technique. At the same time, it could also affect Lu Cheng. Lu Cheng wouldn't dare to use his various footwork, making it difficult for him to exert his strength. Seeing this, Lu Cheng's mind was full of ideas and countermeasures. However, he didn't hesitate and made a decision in an instant. He took a step back. Li Mao took a step forward, and he took another step back. Again. It was as if the two were dancing a tacit dance, and the distance between them didn't change much. Li Mao exhaled and stopped trying. He slid closer and used his feet as a source to drive his waist and back. His fists alternated like a chain of cannons, hitting rapidly. Lu Cheng felt like he was in a storm and could be overturned at any time. He had to use all his strength to maintain his balance. However, he didn't lose his composure. He used his fists, elbows, and arms alternately to block. There was a sense of rhythm. His footwork wasn't messed up, and he kept himself in a relatively suitable position to exert strength. Under this kind of attack, if his footwork was messed up and he couldn't exert strength, he would be defeated in an instant. Lu Cheng struggled to hold on with the chain cannon fist, tiger roar, and wind roar. He completely forgot about the passage of time. Just when he felt that he was about to reach his limit, Li Mao retreated and the pressure suddenly disappeared. He looked at him blankly and saw Li Mao shaking his head and smiling. "Time's up." The coach blew the whistle and dismissed the class. "This is our first tie." Lu Cheng heaved a sigh of relief. Only then did he feel sore in his hands. He shook them and smiled. "Thanks for your mercy." This wasn't modesty, but the truth. Because it was just a teaching practice, Li Mao didn't use his full strength. It was more like a form of feeding. You can't say that. If I didn't practice with you every day for more than 2 weeks and feel your obvious improvement every day, I definitely wouldn't believe that you are the same Cheng from before. Li Mao said with emotion. More than 2 weeks ago, you were a super rookie who didn't even fight much. You weren't fast, you weren't strong, and your reaction was slow. But now, you are worthy of the evaluation of proficient fist and foot. Proficient fist and foot. Lu Cheng chewed on these words and felt a little joy in his heart. Although proficient fist and foot sounds like a description for a beginner, it is one of the standard evaluation for an amateur ninth pin. Li Mao said with a smile. Senior brother, you mean I've reached the level of an amateur ninth pin? Lu Cheng asked with surprise. In less than 3 weeks, he had already reached the level of an amateur ninth pin? Li Mao nodded. Proficient fist and foot means you have the ability to use your moves skillfully and reasonably in a fight without messing up your footwork. This alone is better than 90% of the guys who fight randomly. So you must be an amateur ninth pin. Haha, but an amateur ninth pin doesn't necessarily mean proficient fist and foot. Some people have 2 obvious physical advantages. And the ranking event is a competition, not a form of evaluation. They take advantage of the fact that others can't break their defense and can knock down their opponents with one punch. They don't pay much attention to the proficiency of fist and foot movements. Well, I'll say it again. If I didn't practice with you every day, I'd probably ask my girlfriend to come out and watch the Emperor. Do you know how long it took me to reach the level of an amateur ninth pin from a beginner? I started martial arts at the age of 10 and passed the ranking event of amateur ninth pin at the age of 15. Although I didn't practice every day, it was 5 years. 5 years. You've only been practicing for 3 weeks. Lu Cheng wasn't ecstatic. Instead, he smiled calmly and said, It's different. Most people who practice martial arts at a young age are in the growth period of their bodies. Their strength and other physical qualities grow little by little. It takes several years for them to be comparable to adults. But I'm already an adult. I don't need to wait for my body to grow up. Although it's true, it still proves that you have a strong talent. It's a pity that you didn't learn martial arts at the beginning. You missed the best time to practice martial arts. Li Mao said with regret. Then he patted Lu Cheng on the shoulder and walked back to the locker room. Looking at his back, Lu Cheng recalled the joy just now in his heart. 3 weeks to reach the level of an amateur ninth pin. When school starts next year, what rank will I be? Let's not talk about the long term. For now, my improved explosive force, calmness and concentration, as well as my improved coordination, haven't been fully integrated into my moves and footwork. There's always a faint barrier between them. When I break through this barrier and integrate them into one, what level of amateur pin will I be? Thinking about these things, Lu Cheng walked quickly to the female locker room and caught up with Yan Zheka and Guo Qing. The weather is so good today. It seems that God is blessing us, he said with a smile. After arranging everyone's time, the get-together was set for this afternoon. They would gather at 1:30 p.m. and go boating at Xiaofan Lake. They would have a good meal in the evening. Considering that Lu Cheng, Yan Zheka and Guo Qing had to get up early for special training, they didn't go to karaoke after dinner. Yan Zheka's black hair was tied up in a ponytail, which made her look more playful and energetic. I've always been the Teru Teru Bozu. I've never seen rain in all the spring and autumn outings I've participated in since I was young. You should thank me. Lu Cheng was about to take advantage of the situation and say, Okay, I'll treat you to dinner or send you snacks, to thank you to show my sincerity. But Guo Qing interrupted impatiently. We're going to meet later. What's the rush? You guys are not troublesome. It's just a meal. We have to clean up and wash our hair. Lu Cheng almost blushed at her words. He smiled and said, Then I'll go take a shower first. See you in the afternoon. See you in the afternoon. Yan Zheka waved her hand with a smile. Lu Cheng resisted the urge to look back and entered the locker room. He sighed slightly in his heart. Through persistent conversations, greetings, pleasantries, and the natural closeness of a classmate, his relationship with Yan Zheka was getting better and better. She even started to call him by his nickname, Cheng. But he always felt that something was missing and couldn't go any further. Just like in high school, There was always some politeness between a boy and a girl who didn't flirt with each other but had a good relationship with each other. What should he do next? After taking a shower and having lunch, Lu Cheng returned to the dormitory. He saw Zhao Chong, Zhang Jingye, and Qiu Zhigao were all choosing clothes to appear in front of the girls with their most energetic looks. Kai Zongming was beside them giving instructions. Not bad. Talker, you're so good. Lu Cheng teased. Kai Zongming laughed. It's not that I'm good. It's just that they usually dress too single including you. Lu Cheng glanced at him and then turned to look at the busy dormitory. He lowered his voice and said to Kai Zongming, Casanova, do you think this guy wants to show off just because he knows some martial arts? Yeah. A hero uses martial arts to break the rules. Kai Zongming looked at Lu Cheng from head to toe and pretended to be frightened. Cheng, don't tell me you're thinking of putting that slogan into practice? You'll go to jail. What are you thinking about? Lu Cheng laughed and scolded him. What I mean is, when I didn't know any martial arts, if I went out with Yan Zheka, I definitely hoped that it would be a safe trip. No black cars, no hooligans, no road robbers. In short, it would be a smooth trip without any twists and turns. But now, I'm kind of looking forward to meeting some hooligans in the afternoon. If I meet some brainless rich second-generation official, then I can be the hero to save the beauty. Kai Zongming didn't refute. He just calmly replied, Wake up. Your goddess is better than you. And there's old Qiu, an amateur sixth pin, and me and Guaqing. You won't be the hero to save the beauty. You're right. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched. Well, there's no way to trick him. Chapter 17. Watching Zhao Chong change his clothes and take the gel to the bathroom, Lu Cheng suddenly felt a little nervous. He wasn't as calm as when he was practicing martial arts, neither arrogant nor impatient. Talker Casanova, what should I wear? He asked shamelessly. Kai Zongming crossed his arms and said proudly, Now you know to ask me? Wear your martial arts suit if you have the ability. People like Chong, model worker, and old Qiu, who have neither good looks nor temperament, should wear light-colored clothes. At least they look clean and energetic. You used to be like them. But have you taken the wrong medicine recently? You're so obsessed with practicing martial arts that you've become like a human and a dog. You've become more sophisticated. You can wear dark-colored clothes. Just wear that black casual shirt of yours and that short leather jacket, the brown one, which looks more energetic. Hey, don't tuck in the shirt, and don't pull up the leather jacket, it's old-fashioned. Lu Cheng changed his clothes according to Little Ming's guidance. He looked at himself in the mirror and found that he looked pretty good. He had a sense of calmness, but he did not lose the vigor of a college student. As for Zhao Chong, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye, although they all followed the basic principle of cleanliness, Kai Zongming deliberately chose them to distinguish them. He did not want to be mistaken as a dormitory uniform or work uniform. After getting ready, they followed Kai Zongming out of the dormitory excitedly and nervously. They went to the agreed meeting place. Talker, what should I do later? Lu Cheng asked in a low voice, taking 2 quick steps and walking side by side with Kai Zongming. Kai Zongming laughed and said, Be generous, be generous. Men can't be timid. Besides, your goddess is not familiar with Guaqing's dormitory, let alone us. In this strange environment, she will naturally be close to and rely on her acquaintances. Guaqing's attention is on old Qiu, so here's your chance. Boldly approach her, talk to her, and lead the conversation. Just like how you chat on QQ, she will only be happy and not cold. As for the specific details, I can't guide you, so it's up to you. Just remember the general principle of being generous and generous. Chat on QQ like how I chat on QQ? Damn, I feel like I won't be able to chat without emojis. Lu Cheng took a deep breath. Then remember a rule. When you don't know how to answer, make her laugh. Guys can be humorous, but they can't be vulgar, at least not before you two are very intimate. Kai Zongming patted Lu Cheng's shoulder and said, Calm down and relax. Anyway, I don't have high hopes for you. It doesn't matter if you fail. Just treat it as gaining experience. Lu Cheng glanced at him in disdain. After being mocked by him like this, the tension in his heart faded a lot. They agreed to meet at the east gate of the school. After waiting for about 10 minutes, 5 girls walked over gracefully. Lu Chang noticed Yen Zheka at first glance and completely ignored the other girls. Because she was going to row a boat, she didn't wear a skirt. Instead, she wore a pair of slim-fit light-colored jeans, a pair of small white shoes, and a white t-shirt. The pattern on the front of her chest was slightly inlaid with sequins. She wore a light green jacket on the outside. Her hair was down, and she didn't have bangs. She looked delicate and lively with a bit of purity and cleanliness. Those who dare to show their foreheads are real beauties. Kai Zhongming laughed in a low voice. Zhao Chong, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye also saw Yen Zheka at first glance. No matter where she went, she was always the center of attention. They slightly opened their mouths and looked at Lu Cheng in surprise. Although they knew that Lu Cheng's old classmates would participate in the social gathering, they didn't expect it to be such an old classmate. Beside her, Zhuang Xiaojun, who they thought was very pretty, was completely overshadowed by her. Cheng! Zhao Chong shouted. Lu Cheng looked at him blankly. Zhao Chong said bitterly, I understand now. A dog that doesn't bark really bites. You said I betrayed the revolution. You are the real traitor. His words made Kai Zhongming and the others burst into laughter. Lu Cheng couldn't help but blush. When the 5 girls came closer, Lu Cheng silently said 3 words. Be generous, be generous, be bold. While saying these words, he stepped forward and greeted them with a practiced smile. He said to Yen Zheka, I thought girls would be a few minutes late. I didn't expect you to be early. Fortunately, we are early. Obviously, Yen Zheka didn't feel awkward at all. Instead, she relaxed a bit because of the acquaintance. She pointed at Gua Qing beside her and said with a smile, Ah Qing is always resolute and resolute. She dragged us here. She even washed her hair at noon for this get-together. As soon as this was said, the few girls beside her snickered. A short girl even echoed, Yes, yes, a special shampoo is very important. Gua Qing was a bit shy even though she was a straightforward person. She quickly introduced them to Lu Cheng. This is Zhuang Xiaojun. That bitch is Pan Shui. This is Yu Fengfeng. Lu Cheng glanced around casually. Zhuang Xiaojun was wearing glasses. She looked refined and delicate. Her facial features were indeed good-looking. Pan Shui had neat bangs and baby fat. She wasn't tall and was going for the cute route. Yu Fengfeng's skin was darker and she wore black-rimmed glasses. After greeting them with a smile, Lu Cheng quickly introduced his roommates to Yen Zheka. That foppish guy is Kai Zhongming. That guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes is Zhao Chong, our leader. Don't be fooled by his righteous face. In fact, he is the one who instigated this social gathering. Zhang Jingye, Qiu Zhigao, Old Qiu. They are honest, but they are all in love. The slightly teasing introduction made the girls laugh. Zhao Chong and the others were both angry and amused. The atmosphere suddenly became lively. Yen Zheka covered her mouth and laughed for a while. She lowered her voice and said to Lu Cheng, Aren't you afraid of their revenge? Don't worry. I am an upright person. They don't have anything to blackmail me. Lu Cheng pretended to be righteous. Kai Zhongming secretly gave him a thumbs up and mouthed, Cheng, you are good. Zhao Chong and the others also took the opportunity to make fun of Lu Cheng and liven up the atmosphere. But they all had a tacit understanding and there was a limit. They only made fun of each other on a superficial level. No one really mentioned the embarrassing things that would ruin the girls' impression of each other. While talking, Lu Cheng noticed that Yen Zheka was carrying a small black bag on her back, which made her look charming. In her hand was a white cardboard bag with unknown contents. He took a deep breath and pretended to be normal. He pointed at the white bag and said, Let me help you carry it. Otherwise, if a girl carries something and a boy is empty-handed, we may be criticized on the internet. People may say that the boys in our country are not gentlemanly. Yen Zheka glanced at his frank and slightly humorous words. Then she smiled and said, Okay, Cheng, gentlemanly. Yes. Lu Cheng shouted in his heart. He reached out and took the white bag. He smiled and joked, That's not right. Nowadays, gentlemanly means perverted. I am righteous. The girls were again amused by his self-deprecating words. Kai Zhongming quickly signaled Zhao Chong, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye to take the other girls' bags. He himself was responsible for Yu Fengfeng's. After chatting for a few minutes, the 3 cars that Lu Cheng and the others had arranged for arrived. All 3 cars were parked outside the east gate. Kai Zongming had already instructed Lu Cheng on how to distribute the cars. Lu Cheng plucked up his courage and pulled Qiu Zhigao with a smile. "Old Qiu, let's share a car." While speaking, he gave Yan Zheka a wink. Yan Zheka immediately understood. She held Guo Qing and said, "Qing, let's also take that car." The others immediately joined in. Old Qiu couldn't refuse and had to follow Lu Cheng on the left side of the back row. Lu Cheng thought for a while and sat in the passenger seat. Yan Zheka pulled Guo Qing, who was a little shy, and squeezed her in the middle. She squeezed herself in the right side. The engine sounded and the car started moving. Lu Cheng didn't care about the distribution of the remaining 6 people. He took out his phone and secretly sent a message to Yan Zheka. "Old Qiu and Guo Qing are both strong. You are so pitiful to be squeezed in the back row." Yan Zheka's phone vibrated. She took it out and glanced at it. Suddenly, a smile appeared on her face. She also joined in the conversation and quietly replied, "Alas, fortunately, I am slim. For Qing's happiness, I have to endure it. You don't know how straightforward and outgoing she is. Today, she doesn't dare to speak. If I don't accompany her, she definitely won't dare to take this car." Lu Cheng and Yan Zheka tacitly created a topic to guide Qiu Zhigao and Guo Qing to talk, while they secretly communicated on QQ. It was as if they were on the same side and shared some secrets, which made Lu Qing feel that the relationship between them seemed to be closer. Because the journey was not long enough, the group of 10 people arrived at Xiaofan Lake in just over half an hour. They rented orange life jackets and 5 two-person rowing boats by the lake. The girls left their paper bags and backpacks at the lake. Kai Zongming took charge of the situation and distributed the boats with a smile. Since it's a friendship party, it must be a combination of men and women. Let's see which boat can row around the island first. Old Qiu, you and Guo Qing will be in a group. Well, we are both strong. It's not fair for you to be in a group. Old Qiu made a last-ditch struggle. To be honest, Guo Qing's facial features were not bad, but her body was a little thick. You're a rough man, and you've never rowed a boat before. Maybe you'll offset Guo Qing's efforts. Besides, I've asked around. Guo Qing knows how to swim. You're a landlubber. With her protecting you, we can rest assured. Kai Zongming's nonsense attracted the agreement of the girls. Old Qiu was confused and agreed. Kai Zongming continued, "Lu Cheng, you and Yan Zheka are classmates, so you're more familiar with each other. You're in the same boat. Model worker. You're the big guy from the northwest. Help our petite classmate, Pan Shui. Chong, you lead Zhuang Xiaojun and show your talent as a top student. Yu Fengfeng, we're in the same team. We can't lose." Usually, in such a crowded situation, many people didn't have their own opinions and just went with the flow. Or they had their own opinions but were too shy to speak out. Therefore, 1 or 2 active, positive and bold people could take charge of the situation. Today, Kai Zongming was like that. He forcibly finished the distribution, and no one had much objection. Kai Zongming patted Lu Cheng's shoulder quietly and whispered in his ear, "Cheng, this is all I can do for you." Chapter 18. It was late autumn. The sky was clear and the air was cool. The waves of Xiaoshan Lake were rising and falling. Lu Cheng wanted to help Yan Zheka onto the boat, but she was as agile as a deer. With a light leap, she stood firmly on the boat, barely causing it to sway further. Sure enough, her martial arts level is higher than mine. Not only can't I save the beauty, I don't even have the chance to help her. Lu Cheng mocked himself. Considering his strength, he boarded the boat according to the rules and sat opposite Yan Zheka, each with an oar. "I was going to give you a hand." Yan Zheka snickered and made fun of him. The lake breeze blew her black hair that reached her back. "So a beauty saves a hero?" Lu Cheng pretended to be shocked. Casanova said that when you don't know how to answer, you have to make her laugh. As expected, Yan Zheka couldn't help but chuckle and ask, "Cheng, do you know how to row a boat?" "No." Lu Cheng answered honestly. Before high school, he didn't have the time. During the summer vacation after graduation, He spent more than 2 months binge-watching highlights of martial arts competitions and all kinds of news. He kept meeting with his childhood friends and gradually immersed himself in the online world. How could he have the time and interest to go boating? Yen Zheka pursed her lips and blinked her black eyes. She said seriously, "What a coincidence. I don't know how to." Lu Qing laughed. "Aren't you a Jiangnan girl?" Kai Zhongming, Yu Fengfeng, Zhao Chong, and Zhuang Xiaojun had already rowed slowly. Qiu Zhigao, Guoqing, Zhang Jingye, and Pan Shui were circling around. "But I grew up in Xiaofan. Besides, there are many Jiangnan girls who don't know how to swim or row. My 2 cousins don't know how to do it." Yen Zheka said with anger and amusement. Lu Qing knew when to stop and didn't ask about Yen Zheka's family situation. He smiled and said, "It seems that nothing can be generalized. Well, since it's such a coincidence that you don't know how to row, it'll be interesting to learn how to row together." Yen Zheka nodded slightly. She held the oars with both hands and pointed to Zhao Chong and Zhuang Xiaojun with her chin. "Look at them. They row well. Let's learn." "Okay." Lu Cheng looked over and followed Zhao Chong's movements, moving the oars. The oars entered the water, creating green waves and ripples. However, the hull of the boat did not move forward. Instead, it swayed in place. Yen Zheka joined in the paddling. She was like a young girl picking up a chestnut. The sky and the water were like a beautiful painting. However, their boat still didn't move forward. It was spinning in circles. They looked at each other helplessly and found it funny. Lu Cheng was determined to show that he had long thought about rowing the boat. At this moment, he was not in a hurry. He sank his mind into his dantian, visualized the Jindan, and entered meditation. Immediately, the surroundings became peaceful. The vast nebula rotated slowly, and the details of every part of his body appeared bit by bit. He could feel the ups and downs of the boat and the surrounding waves through their contact with each other. As the boat swayed, the oars dropped, stirring up ripples on the water. Lu Cheng saw how the power circulated in his mind. He used this to slightly change his direction and posture to match the boat's movement. At the same time, he found that Yen Zheka, who was on the opposite side, suddenly became proficient. Every stroke of the oar complemented the boat, the waves and his side. Opening his eyes, Lu Cheng met Yen Zheka's eyes. "You've reached the initial level of yin-yang stance? You've mastered yin-yang stance?" Both of them opened their mouths at the same time. Each of them was surprised. Then they looked at each other and smiled. As a boy, Lu Cheng took the initiative to answer before Yen Zheka asked again. "Actually, I'm very talented in meditation. I was able to conceal spirit and qi on my first try of yin-yang stance. Otherwise, how could I survive the 3 weeks of special training?" Yen Zheka's expression changed. Her bright black eyes showed obvious surprise. "You entered meditation on your first try?" "Yes." Lu Qing nodded sincerely. Unconsciously, Yen Zheka pouted her lips and exhaled. "I thought it was amazing that I could enter meditation on my first try in 10 days. Special case, special case. I'm not as good as you in other aspects. And it's really amazing that you could enter meditation on your first try in 10 days. Many famous masters only entered meditation on their first try in half a month." Lu Cheng hurriedly comforted her. The two of them talked about various things that happened during the martial arts training. However, they neglected to ask about each other's progress. "You don't have to comfort me. Do I look like such a stingy person?" Yen Zheka laughed and dispelled her little depression. She nodded heavily and said, "From now on, you're my idol. It's rare to enter meditation in 1 day in the history of martial arts." "Don't. I can't accept it." Lu Cheng was secretly proud. He modestly changed the topic. "What's your level now? I seem to remember that you didn't have a level when you signed up for the special training." It wasn't seemed. It was definitely. The two of them rowed tacitly. The boat slowly set sail. Yen Zheka thought for a while and said, "I learned martial arts from my uncle when I was a child. I should have reached the level of amateur 9th pin when I graduated from junior high school. But I didn't attend the ranking event. So I didn't have much time to practice in high school. According to Qing, I should be between amateur 7th and 8th pin when she first practiced with me. But after I got started with yin-yang stance, I think I've improved a lot. Qing said yesterday that I've reached amateur 6th pin." At the end of the sentence, her tone was slightly raised, showing a little pride and a little playfulness. Awesome. You've improved by at least 1 pin in 3 weeks. I'll make you my idol. Lu Cheng deliberately picked up Yan Zheka's words. According to Yan Zheka's experience, it was normal for her to reach amateur 4th or 5th pin when she entered the school if it weren't for the emphasis on learning in high school. The reason why she could improve by 1 pin in 3 weeks was that she had guided the accumulation and potential that she had but hadn't shown yet. It was totally different from Lu Cheng, who had started out as a rookie in 3 weeks. Listening to Lu Cheng's half-joking and half-sincere praise, Yan Zheka's cheeks reddened and her smile widened. But then she suddenly thought of something and sighed. Her expression was a little melancholy and gloomy. What's wrong? Lu Cheng asked with concern. Yan Zheka didn't stop rowing. After a dozen seconds of silence, she said in a low voice, according to the ancient saying, I'm congenitally deficient. If I hadn't practiced martial arts since I was a child, I'd probably be an invalid now. But my body is always damaged and can't be made up. I'll never be able to reach the level of Danqi and have a real glimpse of martial arts. So every time I see a young genius, I'm very envious and worship. It seems that I've put my expectation of martial arts on them. Listening to Yan Zheka's words, Lu Cheng felt helpless and sad. His heart was suddenly filled with tenderness and pity. He wanted to say loudly, let me carry your dream of martial arts on my back. But some things were better done than said. Bragging now would only make her think that he was joking about this kind of thing. It was too frivolous. It wasn't until now that he understood why Yan Zheka worshipped Lin Kei like other girls, and why she said, everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be martial arts. She was not only talking about him, but also herself. Senior brother Li Mao, who practiced with me, said that I've reached the level of amateur 9th pin. He looked into Yan Zheka's eyes and said calmly and firmly. Yan Zheka was stunned. You've reached the level of amateur 9th pin? She knew clearly that 3 weeks ago, Lu Cheng was just an ordinary person with no martial arts foundation. But after only 3 weeks, he could become proficient in punching and kicking. Coupled with his talent of meditation, what level could he reach in 3 months, a year or a half? Senior brother Li Mao said so. Lu Cheng said concisely. Yan Zheka stared at him, her eyes as dark as a deep pool. After a while she said in a low voice, you have to do your best. Okay. Lu Cheng nodded heavily. While talking, they didn't stop their movements. They cooperated well and soon caught up with Qiu Zhigao and Guo Qing. When they were about to pass by each other, Guo Qing suddenly raised the oar and splashed water at Lu Cheng and Yan Zheka, forcing them to try to dodge and slow down the boat. Qiu Zhigao, you row the boat. I'll stop them. Guo Qing said arrogantly. Yan Zheka was annoyed and amused. She looked at Lu Cheng and asked, do you want to fight back? Looking at the eagerness in her eyes and actions, Lu Cheng said without hesitation, yes. You row the boat well. Yan Zheka bit her lip with a smile in her eyes. She also used the oar to raise waves. Lu Cheng put on his jacket and focused on observing the changes of the boat and the waves. He rowed at the right time to offset the shaking caused by Yan Zheka's movements and kept the boat moving forward. As for Old Qiu and Guo Qing, as long as Guo Qing made a big movement, the boat would inevitably shake, so she had to be careful. Both of them had learned the basics of yin-yang stance, so they had a good grasp of coordination. With a good cooperation, they had an obvious advantage. Soon, they overtook Guo Qing and Old Qiu and caught up with the others, causing screams and splashes. They had a lot of fun, with continuous laughter and curses. When they overtook everyone, they were the first to return to the starting point after circling the lake. Lu Cheng and Yan Zheka looked at each other again and smiled. Again I, Doraemon, am not satisfied. Kai Zhongming and Yu Fangfang were the second to arrive and said exaggeratedly in online language. Round after round, the girls had a lot of fun, but they were also tired. Seeing that the sun was setting, they suggested to go back early so that they wouldn't have to wait in line for the big meal in the evening. As for the cost, led by Lu Cheng and Kai Zhongming, the boys had already collected enough money. The boat stopped at the shore. Lu Cheng, the long-distance runner without any fatigue, got off the boat easily and reached out his hand to Yan Zheka. At this time, she was exhausted. She shouldn't have the strength to jump off directly, right? Lu Cheng's heart beat faster. But Yan Zheka didn't feel bashful. She frankly grabbed his hand and got off the boat. At this moment, even though she had the advantage, she was splashed with a lot of water. Her hair was wet, with a few strands sticking to her cheeks, revealing an amazing beauty. It reminded people of the phrase, "A hibiscus comes out of clear water." "What's wrong?" Yen Zheka brushed the messy hair on her cheeks. Lu Qing thought for a while and smiled politely. "Every time I see a girl in a TV series with her hair still wet after washing, I think it's very beautiful." Yen Zheka's eyes were watery. She glanced at him. "I'm going to change first." Lu Qing suddenly understood. "That bag you're carrying is clothes?" "Yes, it's easy to get wet while rowing. How can I not bring a set of clothes to change?" Yen Zheka smiled. "A rough man like you probably can't think of this. I have a leather coat, so I'm not afraid of getting wet." Lu Qing wiped the water droplets on the short leather coat. "Smart, right?" Yen Zheka rolled her eyes at him and walked quickly to the storage area. Seeing her back disappear at the door of the female locker room, Lu Qing was overflowing with joy. He couldn't help but walk back and forth, unable to stop. After all the things that happened today, the politeness between him and Yen Zheka had completely disappeared. Her horizontal and white lines were the proof. Although there was still a long way to go before they could hold hands, at least their relationship had improved. After returning to the school through an online taxi, the group of 10 people went to the famous Old Lee restaurant in the nearby town. The most famous dish here was the white kidney beans stewed with pig's feet soup. The soup was milky white and fragrant. The soft white kidney beans were full of all kinds of essences. It was the most delicious and made the girls hungry. After dinner, Lu Qing and the others strolled back to Songqing University. Along the way, they talked about the embarrassing and stupid things they had done in the afternoon, which made them burst into laughter from time to time. When they arrived at the second building of the female dormitory, there was no awkward silence. Yen Zheka lived in the third building not far away. Lu Qing sent her off and said goodbye to her in front of the gate. "See you tomorrow for the special training." Lu Qing smiled and waved. Yen Zheka smiled faintly and waved her hand. "See you tomorrow." Seeing her enter the dormitory, Lu Qing knew that she would be busy taking a shower. Instead of chasing after Kai Zhongming and the others, Lu Qing strolled to the lake. "I'm so happy today. If I don't exercise to vent, how can I sleep?" In the woods by the lake, Wu Dong, a senior member of the martial arts club, was drinking and smoking with 2 friends he had met in the society. The new campus of Songqing University was only free to enter and leave on weekends, except for express delivery. Ah, don't mention it recently. It's so damn depressing. Since Lin Kei came in, I can't stay in the martial arts club anymore. They don't even look at me. Wu Dong drank a mouthful of beer with a gloomy expression. A young man with a tattoo on his neck said, "You and Brother Chen can't beat him?" "I don't dare. We're about to graduate. How can we find a job if we get punished?" Wu Dong flattered himself. Suddenly, his eyes froze and he snorted. "What's wrong?" Another young man with a buzz cut followed Wu Dong's gaze and saw Lu Qing jogging towards them with a smile on his face. "A bastard from the martial arts club," Wu Dong said grumpily. The tattooed young man smiled. "Hey, what a coincidence. How about we teach him a lesson?" "That's not a good idea. You can run away, but what about me?" Wu Dong wanted to vent but didn't dare to. "Don't worry. We know what we're doing. Just teach him a lesson." The buzz-cut young man had nowhere to vent his energy. He was eager to try. Students fight and don't get hurt. Who will tell the teacher for no reason? How about we go and you don't show up? P.S. It's Monday again. There's a chapter at midnight. Please recommend it. Chapter 19. Wu Dong had been holding a grudge for a long time. Encouraged by the buzz-cut young man, he nodded slowly after a few seconds of silence. "Okay, I'll keep an eye out for you." The buzz-cut young man stood up and stretched his body. The tattooed young man put down the beer bottle and asked cautiously, "How's that guy? What amateur pin is he?" Wu Dong laughed. "Don't worry. He's just a rookie. He's not even an amateur 9th pin yet. You can beat him easily." The young man with the brush cut and the tattooed young man dropped out of school early and began to mingle in the underworld. They often got into fights, so they had some martial arts experience. In order to rise up, they deliberately befriended Chen Zhonghua and Wu Dong to learn proper martial arts. Over the past 2 years, although they ate, drank, gambled, and smoked a lot, they practiced diligently and often had practical practice. Both of them had reached the level of amateur 7th pin, so Wu Dong trusted them to teach Lu Cheng a lesson. "Isn't it easy? I promise you'll be satisfied, Brother Dong." The buzz-cut young man laughed. The tattooed young man thought for a while and said, "Wait a minute. Which one of you can speak Northeastern Chinese? Teach me a few words." "What?" Wu Dong and the buzz-cut young man were both confused. The tattooed young man explained, "Songqing University is the best university in Songqing. It's famous all over the country. If we mess around here, it's easy to get into trouble. We know what we're doing, but we can't guarantee that accidents will happen, right? Maybe some professor or teacher will bump into us, right? It's dark now, so we can't see the faces clearly. I'll speak Northeastern Chinese later. If something really happens, they won't find us, right?" "Yes, yes, yes." Wu Dong was most afraid that they would be found out and get him into trouble. The buzz-cut young man was puzzled. Which professor or teacher would come here in the dark? Isn't it nice to have a date with a female student in the dark? The tattooed young man answered with a lewd smile. Along the lakeside path, Lu Cheng jogged to the place where he usually practiced his stance. Half of Weishui Lake was illuminated by the lights of the dormitory and teaching areas. It was as if a silver sea was hanging upside down. Every drop of light was dazzling. The other half was dark and quiet, with the occasional streetlight projection. At the edge of the lake was a place where a stone could arouse many pairs of wild mandarin ducks. Observing the surroundings was a martial artist's habit. After a period of hard practice, he had turned it into an instinct. While running, he saw 2 figures coming out of the woods by the lake, so he subconsciously looked at them. The tattooed young man immediately shouted, "What are you looking at?" "Nothing, I'm sorry." Lu Cheng was stunned. He didn't expect that this could lead to a quarrel. He didn't want to cause more trouble, so he replied in a modest tone. Although practicing martial arts gave him courage and he had thought about the scene of a hero rescuing a beauty, when it really happened, his usual character and habits took over. Moreover, Geezer Sher had said that modern society was a legal society. Being brave and fierce was not a good thing. As a martial artist, he was not afraid of trouble, but he should try not to cause trouble. Madhav *Kar, how dare you talk nonsense? The tattooed young man only learned a few words in a hurry and didn't dare to say more. He signaled the buzz-cut young man to block Lu Cheng's way and moved himself to cut off his escape route. Lu Cheng was not a fool. The other's aggressive behavior was soon reflected in his mind. He made a judgment in his heart. They are here to cause trouble. And judging from their footwork, they were obviously at the level of amateur 9th pin or above. Ordinary people practice martial arts and don't pay attention to footwork. If they can keep their footwork in a fight, they must be martial artists. The 2 of them were not far from each other, the kind of distance where they could start a fight immediately after cursing. Seeing that the young man's palm was about to hit his face in the next second, Lu Cheng suddenly dodged to the side, quickened his pace, and ran into the woods with a whoosh. Ran into the woods. Ran away. Ran away. The buzz-cut young man and the tattooed young man looked at each other, stunned for a moment. Did he just King run away? According to their experience, when encountering a verbal conflict, everyone would first try to explain or argue. Even if there was a possibility of a fight, the coward's reaction would be to beg for mercy, while the hot-blooded and brave guy would try to fight until it was obvious that he couldn't win. Who would have thought that the guy just now would run faster than a rabbit without even saying a few words? *CK. Run. Let's see where you can run to. The 2 came to their senses, spat, and ran quickly to catch up with Lu Cheng. The muscles on their faces were twisted and hideous, a little embarrassed. Lu Cheng didn't dare to stop because of the hurried footsteps behind him. He passed through the sparse woods by the lake. Relying on his familiarity with the terrain, he soon arrived at the road outside the woods, which was the place where he usually practiced his endurance. This road led to the teaching area on one side and extended to the small hill of the school on the other side. The hill was not very high, only about 10 meters high. It was more appropriate to call it hill, because the biggest library in Songqing was built there. The road circled around the hill and went straight to the vast western area that was still under construction. Lu Cheng turned and ran to the hill. The buzz-cut young man and the tattooed young man ran through the woods. Seeing Lu Cheng running to the hill, they were both delighted. This guy is running away in a panic. If he had run to the teaching area, they wouldn't have dared to make trouble for him. But now, they would give him a good massage later. When the two ran through the woods, Wu Dong, who was waiting for a good show, couldn't sit still. He was afraid that they would lose their temper and make a big mess, which would involve him. He hurriedly followed behind and tried to catch up with them. The buzz-cut young man and the tattooed young man, who lived a life of eating, drinking, whoring, gambling, and smoking, soon began to pant. The distance between them and Lu Cheng widened little by little. They gradually felt like giving up in their hearts. F***ck. Thinking of the time when I ran 5 streets in one breath. At this moment, they found that Lu Cheng in front of them had also slowed down. They looked at each other and smiled, with excitement and cruelty in their eyes. We can't run anymore, and this guy can't run anymore. Hold on a little longer. When we catch up, we'll teach him a lesson. Mustering their remaining courage, they circled around the hill and arrived at the West District, which was still a wasteland. As they chased, the distance between them gradually closed. However, after running for a while, the young man with the buzz cut could no longer hold on. He stopped and panted heavily. You're right. F***ck. Huff, F***ck. This guy, F***ck. F***ck. He's too good at running. The tattooed young man ran 2 more steps and couldn't take it anymore. He bent down and put his hands on his knees, watching Lu Cheng's figure getting farther and farther away. I can't. He spoke like a bellows, his chest heaving violently. Wu Dong also caught up at this time. He was gasping for breath, and cold sweat was dripping down his forehead. Seeing that the two had stopped moving forward, he heaved a sigh of relief. He stopped not far away, and repeatedly retched. It seemed that he was almost out of breath. Forget it, there's no need to waste time. Smoking hurt the lungs, which controlled the breath. After running for such a long distance, Wu Dong felt a little dizzy. As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes suddenly froze. In the darkness ahead, he saw a figure running back through the desolation. It was Lu Cheng. You! The tattooed young man and the buzz-cut young man gasped in astonishment. How dare this guy run back? They looked at Lu Cheng and saw that his face was as usual and his breathing was steady. There was no sign that he had run for such a long distance. What the F***ck? What kind of monster is this? The buzz-cut young man and the tattooed young man suddenly felt a sense of horror. Looking at the 3 of them who were gasping for breath and distancing themselves from each other, Lu Cheng smiled without saying a word. Suddenly, he took a step forward and threw a punch. The power under his feet was transmitted to his waist and back, leading to his fist. He gathered all the power in his body and hit the buzz-cut youth in the middle of his chest with a mighty force. The buzz-cut young man was about to dodge and counterattack, but his hands and feet were so sore that he almost couldn't catch his breath. He was too slow and was directly hit by Lu Cheng's punch. Bam! In the muffled sound, the buzz-cut young man was hit in the middle of his chest. The pain in his bones made him almost stop breathing and he took 2 steps back. Lu Cheng's footwork was not messed up. He followed closely and pressed on his 2 shoulders. Then he tripped him and threw him toward the tattooed young man who was besieging him. The tattooed young man who was also weak in arms and legs staggered. Of course, Lu Cheng wouldn't let go of this opportunity. He took a step forward, twisted his waist and kicked the tattooed young man's left shin. Ah! The tattooed young man screamed. Although his bones weren't broken, he was in so much pain that he hugged his leg and rolled on the ground. Like the buzz-cut young man who was almost out of breath, he lost his ability to fight for a short time. After getting rid of them, Lu Cheng looked at Wu Dong who was struggling to come closer and said with a smile, "So it's senior brother Wu who wants to teach me a lesson. Then I have no choice but to ask for your advice." Wu Dong looked gloomy and panted. I'm tired but you're not tired? We're the same. I'm an amateur second pin master. Who do you think you are? Sorry, I'm not tired. Lu Cheng calmly got into a fighting posture with an eager look in his eyes. Although Wu Dong was an amateur second pin master, his master had told him that his body had been hollowed out by smoking and drinking. Now he was tired, weak in arms and legs, and had difficulty breathing. If he didn't dare to challenge and fight in this condition, what was the point of learning martial arts and practicing boxing? P.S. Please recommend me to the homepage. Chapter 20. Without saying anything, Lu Cheng lowered his center of gravity and stepped forward, pouncing on Wu Dong from both sides. Lu Cheng had only been practicing martial arts for 3 weeks, so he had only mastered the basic movements and simple moves to the point where he could use them in actual combat. He hadn't had time to learn the more complicated moves. But humans were different from animals because they were good at observing and imitating. In the face of Wu Dong, who was much stronger than him, he instinctively wanted to do better. In his mind, the footwork of Chen Zhonghua during the fight with Lin Ke suddenly appeared. Chen Zhonghua moved forward, crisscrossed, and attacked like a terrifying poisonous snake. Compared to Chen Zhonghua, Lu Cheng was obviously not as proficient and detailed in this footwork. But he had been practicing the yin-yang stance for a long time, so his body coordination was quite good and his spirit was highly concentrated. Under the condition of half meditation, he could easily and subtly adjust his center of gravity. When he stepped to the left, his center of gravity was slightly to the right. When he stepped to the right, his center of gravity was slightly to the left. It was hard for Lu Cheng to distinguish his real target. Even Wu Dong, who had been practicing martial arts for many years, felt that this was a thorny problem. In the past, when he was sparring with Chen Zhonghua, he was still able to see some clues when facing this snake steps and make a prediction. But now when this kid, whose footwork was obviously not practiced enough, pounced on him, he was unable to give a definite answer. Just when he thought that his real target was indeed to the right, the next thought swayed to the left. Is he really a rookie who has only been practicing martial arts for 3 weeks? Is he a guy who pretends to be weak? Hesitation was the most taboo in a fight. Wu Dong was experienced in actual combat and had participated in several amateur ranking events, so he naturally understood this principle and always followed it. But at this moment, there was not much he could do. Under normal circumstances, if he couldn't judge whether the snake steps was real or not, he could still use his footwork and move around, which was his strength. But after chasing for such a long distance, his legs were sore and his breathing was not smooth, so he couldn't use his strength. If he continued to move around, it would be suicide. Alas, I can only stay on the defensive. Wu Dong took a stance and didn't react hastily. In the face of this, Lu Cheng was a little happy in his heart because this was the situation he had envisioned when he first planned. He didn't expect it to actually come true. At first, he didn't notice that Wu Dong was chasing after him. He just wanted to use his strongest long-distance running ability to wear down the 2 hooligans who were deliberately causing trouble, and take advantage of their weak state to strike back. When he noticed Wu Dong, he deliberately slowed down to lure them to run more, so that he could squeeze their strength as much as possible. But his master had said that Wu Dong's body was exhausted by smoking, drinking, and playing, so the function of his lungs must be severely reduced. When his strength reached the limit, it would be difficult for him to take a breath in a short time. Under such circumstances, Wu Dong, who was known for his agility, dexterity, guerrilla warfare, and sneak attacks, would not be able to display his strengths at all. He would be forced to defend his position, just like what was happening right now. Shifting his center of gravity and taking a step forward, Lu Cheng suddenly flashed to Wu Dong's right side. Exerting strength from his feet, he channeled all his strength through his spine to his right hand. Then, as if he was holding an iron hammer, he clenched his fist and smashed down viciously at Wu Dong. Whoosh! The punch was so fierce that Wu Dong couldn't tell whether the snake steps was real or not, so his reaction was a bit late. But he firmly defended his position and fought inside with both hands, so the distance he covered was significantly shorter than Lu Cheng. He was able to block Lu Cheng's right fist in time. When the two collided, Lu Cheng didn't feel that Wu Dong had the upper hand in strength. He suddenly realized that Wu Dong was indeed still gasping for breath and couldn't exert all his strength. Even though he was a master of amateur second pin, he was still at a disadvantage. Lu Cheng took a step forward with his right foot and blocked in front of Wu Dong's legs to prevent him from exerting his footwork. His left hand used the force of his right fist to block Wu Dong's right hand, and punched directly at Wu Dong's abdomen with abrupt force. Wu Dong couldn't dodge, so he had to take the blow head-on. With a bang, their bodies met. Lu Cheng exerted strength in his feet, slightly leaned to one side, and lowered his elbow to hit Wu Dong again. He had to take advantage of Wu Dong's current condition and force him to fight in close quarters, which was his weakness and his current fatal problem. If he couldn't catch his breath, the result would be clear. If he fought on the move, he would give Wu Dong a chance to catch his breath. Bang bang bang. They exchanged several blows. Wu Dong had been practicing martial arts for many years and was very experienced, so he didn't show any flaws. Lu Cheng blocked Wu Dong's attack again with both hands, but he was keenly aware that Wu Dong's body was swaying slightly. This was like a rock that had finally loosened under a violent storm. Wu Dong couldn't catch up with his strength. Lu Cheng lowered his waist and adjusted his body's fine details. He quickly adjusted his center of gravity and threw out another punch. Bang! Wu Dong's stance was broken by the punch and he staggered back. But he was smart enough to not give Lu Cheng a chance to pounce on him again. He rolled to the side to avoid the punch. Seeing Wu Dong rolling on the ground, Lu Cheng felt a little happy. He had forced Wu Dong, an amateur second pin, to this point. Victory was at hand. He closed the distance with a sliding step, and was about to give Wu Dong a whip kick like Lin Kei did. At this moment, Wu Dong narrowed his eyes and grabbed a handful of dirt behind him with his left hand. He threw it at Lu Cheng. Lu Cheng didn't expect this at all. Seeing the dirt flying at him, he closed his eyes subconsciously, put his left hand in front of his face, and tried to move sideways. But he was in a hurry. Some dirt got into his eyes, making them sore and painful. He couldn't open them for a while. His mind was in a mess, and he was at his wit's end. Bang! Lu Cheng felt a pain in his back as he was punched. He lost his balance and fell forward. The familiar situation and experience made him calm down instinctively. He adjusted his body and tried to change his center of gravity. When one calmed down, one's mind would be clear. Lu Cheng recovered from the fall and realized that he was at a disadvantage because of his lack of combat experience. Now he had to stay calm and not let Wu Dong take advantage of the situation to attack him. The Jindan rotated slowly, the nebula contracted and expanded, and the muscles in his body adjusted harmoniously. Lu Cheng staggered a few steps and regained his balance. At the same time, he changed his direction with every step, narrowly avoiding the attack behind him. Lu Cheng found that he still couldn't open his eyes. He couldn't stop his tears, as if he had been beaten. He was surrounded by darkness and didn't know where Wu Dong would come from. What was more frightening was that he didn't dare to make a big scene. He didn't attack the vital parts of the short-haired young man and the tattooed young man. It wouldn't take long for them to recover their basic combat strength. Calm down. Calm down. Lu Cheng made a decision. He visualized the form of condensing water to ice in his mind. He felt that all kinds of distracting thoughts were frozen and his senses became very sharp. Condensing water stance of the ice sect. Everything seemed to be quiet. Contrary to the yin-yang stance, the condensing water stance focused on the outside. He could hear the sound of wind and footsteps, and the air was filled with a faint smell of alcohol. Lu Cheng vaguely sensed that someone was coming from his left through his ears, body, and other senses. He remained calm and raised his hands slightly, as if he was making a defensive move and waiting for his eyes to recover. Lu Cheng suddenly changed his visualization when the heavy breathing entered his ears. He visualized a scene in his mind where a silver-white lightning struck a tree and ignited a flame in an instant. Lightning and fire stance of the Thunder sect. As soon as the lightning and fire appeared, Lu Cheng's muscles wriggled naturally. He felt his tailbone go numb and his body sink as if he was struck by lightning. Then a hot current surged out from his spine and closed all the pores all over his body. It was like a prairie fire that completed a terrible outbreak in an instant. It burned through his waist and back to his left leg. His left leg looked normal, but it suddenly tightened and kicked sideways without warning. Bang! Lu Cheng felt that he had kicked something solid and vaguely felt bone under his foot. Then he heard a cry of pain and the sound of someone falling to the ground. It's done. He kept calm and didn't put down his defensive posture. He just rubbed his eyes and with the help of his tears, the dust finally flowed out and restored his vision. From blur to clear, Lu Cheng saw Wu Dong rolling in pain on his left side as if he had kicked him in the thigh. The brush-cut young man and the tattooed young man had just recovered but were still unable to stand up. Phew. A real battle is really different from a pair practice. Lu Cheng secretly heaved a sigh of relief and felt a pain in his back. If it weren't for his yin-yang stance that had reached the realm of inward vision with the help of the Jindan, the condensation stance that had improved his senses and attention, and the lightning and fire stance that had a terrible outbreak in an instant, he would have been beaten by the experienced Wu Dong. The yin-yang stance, the lightning and fire stance, and the condensation stance seemed to be easy to master. However, as the basic stances of the Thunder sect and the Ice sect, they had their own difficulties. That was, how to meditate, how to visualize, and what to visualize. Without any explanation or guidance, even if one was given a complete introduction, only 1 out of 1,000 people would be able to successfully master the stances according to the description. Among them, the yin-yang stance was the foundation. It didn't limit what to visualize, but taught how to enter meditation, how to visualize, how to hold the spirit, and how to guard one. Even so, after Geezer Sure had taught him on the first day, he had spent 3 weeks guiding and correcting his mistakes. However, until now, it seemed that only he and Yen Zheka had mastered the yin-yang stance. Even Guo Qing, Li Mao, and Sun Jian couldn't do it. As for Lin Ke, it seemed that he had practiced it before. After today's thrilling and fierce battle, his stance and fighting style had finally crossed the threshold and started to integrate into one. However, he still couldn't judge the specific level of his strength. After relaxing, Lu Qing suddenly felt scared. Just now, he had been reckless and wanted to try a real battle. When his qi and blood had calmed down, he was worried about how to clean up the mess. Fighting was punishable by punishment. If he didn't know how to control his strength, he would have no choice but to cry behind bars. Fortunately, Zhang Xian had controlled his strength and didn't aim for Wu Dong's vitals. Only when he kicked Wu Dong was he unable to control it because he couldn't see. However, seeing Wu Dong stop rolling and rubbing his leg, Zhang Xian didn't think it was a big deal. It's true that heroes break the rules with their martial arts. Lu Cheng suppressed his worries and kept calm. He thought for a while and smiled at Wu Dong. Senior brother Wu, you're about to graduate from your senior year, right? Wu Dong covered his leg and looked up at Lu Cheng in surprise. He felt that the freshman in front of him was very calm and had pointed out his weakness with one sentence. He didn't see any trace of worry at all. Then he thought of Lu Cheng's sneaky kick and his calmness when he couldn't open his eyes. He suddenly felt like he didn't know him at all. Under his gaze, he couldn't help but look away. Chapter 21. Was this still the same inexperienced freshman? Was this the same guy who was so flustered during the sparring session 3 weeks ago? For the first time, Wu Dong doubted his own brain. Students who could enter Songqing University before the special recruitment of martial arts were all intelligent. However, the contradiction between what he knew and what he saw now made him feel like his cognitive world had been turned upside down. Could it be that he was dreaming? Seeing that Wu Dong was shocked by his words, Lu Qing exhaled quietly and pretended to be profound. The on-campus recruitment will begin in October. Senior brother Wu, you're still in the mood to deal with 2 hooligans. But I still have to thank you for your guidance just now. It helped me improve my martial arts. The on-campus recruitment was a job fair on campus. It was usually held in the first half of the senior year. When it came to the next semester, the number of job fairs would decrease sharply. Most of the time, one would have to rely on the internet to find a job. Lu Cheng's hidden meaning was that this matter would be treated as a martial arts competition. Neither of them would spread the news, and Wu Dong would have to focus on finding a job in the on-campus recruitment. Otherwise, if things got out of hand, Wu Dong would have to bear more responsibility if he fought back with 2 hooligans on campus. Wu Dong might even be praised by the school for fighting back after being bullied by the hooligans. At most, he would be punished. Wu Dong's face was gloomy. After a long time, he said, "Junior brother Lu, the new generation is replacing the old. I'm just giving you some guidance. Don't worry too much." As a martial artist, he often came into contact with similar things. His tone was inevitably similar to that of the ancient times. "I still have to thank you, senior brother Wu." Seeing that Wu Dong gave in, Lu Qing smiled and cupped his hands. He glanced at the tattooed young man and the buzz-cut young man and started to run again. As for the 2 gangsters, Lu Qing didn't think it was a big deal. Lu Qing didn't think it was a big problem at all. Songqing was the best university in the country. If gangsters dared to bring people to break into the school and bully students, they must be tired of living. If they wanted to block him outside the school, unless they didn't want to make a living, they would keep an eye on the school every day. Who would take a fight as revenge for the murder of their father? Once the hot blood was over, there would only be trouble when they met by chance. Seeing that Lu Cheng's footsteps were light and light as he started running again, sweeping past them like a gust of wind, the short-haired youth and the tattooed youth looked at each other, dumbfounded. F***ck, he can still F***king run. The young man with the brush cut looked as if he had seen a flying saucer. This is a monster. The tattooed young man rubbed his eyes. Once again, a sense of fear rose in their hearts. It was the fear of an inhuman. Back in the dormitory, Lu Qing didn't want to line up in the bathroom, so he took a cold shower in the bathroom. Their dormitory's toilets had water pipes, shower heads, and washing machines, all of which were provided by Qin Mo, the rich second generation. However, he had only used them once and was rarely seen. As for the problem of the counselor's inspection, Lu Cheng had only seen the counselor 4 times in class meetings since school started 2 months ago. He had never encountered one in the dormitory. Anyway, the new campus was a closed management system, so there wouldn't be any major problems. He could just leave it to the class committee. After changing his clothes and drying his hair, Lu Qing walked out of the bathroom and bumped into Kai Zongming, who was watching a martial arts live broadcast in the living room. Hey, Cheng, where did you go just now? Why are you only back now? Don't tell me you got it? Did you go to the woods? Kai Zongming winked at him with a gossipy expression. Lu Qing thought for a while and asked back, what do you think? I think the revolution hasn't succeeded yet. Comrades still need to work hard. Your goddess isn't easy to woo. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had a chance. But as long as you work hard, even an iron rod can be ground into a needle. If you keep up your performance today, there's still hope. In reality, it's like a flower stuck in cow dung. A blind cat will meet a dead mouse. Kai Zongming encouraged and teased him. Lu Cheng glared at him and walked to the simple sofa to sit down. When he was about to lean on the sofa, he felt a sharp pain in his back, which made him gasp. Wu Dong's attack was really not bad. Little Ming, help me rub the bruise. Lu Cheng said as he got up and walked to his dormitory. He had to ask for help for the bruise on his back. Kai Zongming was confused. You didn't force yourself on her and get beaten up by your goddess, did you? What the hell are you thinking about? Lu Cheng said grumpily. In the dormitory, Zhao Chong and Zhuang Xiaojun were on the same boat today. They had a good chat and were trying to calm down while doing homework. Zhang Jingye got Pan Shui's QQ and chatted with her while watching a movie. He also asked about the interesting things in their dormitory. Qiu Zhigao stood by the window and looked at the streetlights outside, deep in thought. Lu Cheng held back his laughter and took the bottle of ointment from Yan Zheka. He returned to the living room and handed it to Kai Zongming. He sat down and took off his t-shirt, revealing the bruise on his back. What the hell? What did you do? Kai Zongming was confused and surprised. Didn't I send Yan Zheka back to her dormitory? Thinking about the progress today, I was so excited and happy that I couldn't calm down at all. So I went to the lakeside to practice my stance. Lu Cheng didn't hide anything and told his friend what had happened just now. Kai Zongming unscrewed the bottle cap and laughed. You and Cheng are brothers, right? One needs to do homework to calm down, and the other needs to practice his stance by the lakeside. Haha, not only are the feelings of young girls poetic, but so are the feelings of young men. Erotic poems. Lu Cheng ignored his teasing and said, then I met 3 hooligans and had a fight. No wonder. Kai Zongming poured the ointment on his hand and applied it to the bruise on Lu Cheng's back. You're so brave after learning martial arts. You didn't suffer any losses, right? A trace of coolness entered the wound and relieved the pain. Lu Cheng narrowed his eyes comfortably and said, no, I beat all 3 of them down. Wow, you're awesome, my brother. You've only been learning martial arts for 3 weeks. Did Geezer sure secretly teach you some unique moves? Kai Zongming put the glass bottle on the sofa and rubbed the ointment hard, making Lu Cheng grimace. Do you know which school and which department those hooligans are from? We can't let them go so easily. Wu Dong from the martial arts club. Lu Cheng coughed lightly and said casually. Wu Dong from the martial arts club? Then let's call old Qiu and go find them. Wu Dong from the martial arts club? Wu Dong from the senior year? Kai Zongming raised his voice and lost control of his strength. Lu Cheng almost jumped up from the pain. Damn, I shouldn't have pretended to be tough at this time. Lu Cheng regretted deeply. Yes, that Wu Dong who recruited us into the club. Kai Zongming stopped and said, Cheng, I don't study much. Don't lie to me. If you can beat Wu Dong, I'll beat Lin Kai. Lu Cheng hid his pride and said, It's true. Wu Dong is addicted to smoking and drinking. He's half disabled. When I saw the three of them, I turned around and ran. But when I ran, I found that they couldn't straighten their backs and started to pant, so I went back. But Wu Dong is really good. He almost beat me down in this situation. Kai Zongming suddenly understood and continued rubbing the ointment on Lu Cheng's bruise. I knew it. You can't beat Wu Dong in a normal fight. But to be able to beat him and the other two hooligans in this situation, you must be at least of amateur 9th pin, right? Senior brother Li Mao said I'm almost there, Lu Cheng answered, frankly. 3 weeks of amateur 9th pin. Kai Zongming was silent for a while and then pretended to exaggerate. Coach, I want to join the special training too. Lu Cheng smiled and said, You'd better continue to be a talker, a career with a bright future. Kai Zongming sighed while rubbing Lu Cheng's bruise. Actually, I'm really surprised to see you make such great progress. I'm also a little touched to see you working so hard for the martial arts competition dream. The last time I was so serious was when I was chasing after my current girlfriend. You want to come? Lu Cheng looked at the TV in front of him. It was a professional martial arts competition between Shizhou sect and Guanwei League. Both of them belonged to the highest level and were good at physical martial arts. One side of their bodies was shining with a metallic luster, while the other side had a strong recovery ability. Their injuries were healed in the blink of an eye. Kai Zongming laughed dryly. I'm just saying. But I'm still reluctant to sleep in and play games. Then how did you practice martial arts in the past? Lu Cheng couldn't imagine how Kai Zongming had persevered in the past. Kai Zongming rubbed away the effect of the medicine and patted Lu Cheng's back. He praised, You're strong and elastic now. At that time, the son of the richest man in our small rundown city was kidnapped. After extorting a sum of money, he was killed. Everyone was in a panic. My family's financial situation was not bad. My parents were very worried and sent me to the martial arts center to practice martial arts. During those years, the martial arts center in our city earned a lot of money. You need someone to supervise you before you can practice martial arts. By the way, did you catch the kidnappers? Lu Cheng asked curiously. Of course they did. The martial arts administration of the police department sent people down and blocked them on the mountain. They shot them to death. It was said that their bodies were broken. Kai Zongming talked about the past in his hometown. While chatting, Lu Cheng logged into QQ and sent a smiley face to Yan Zheka. I had a lot of fun today. Thousands of words, tens of thousands of words, excitement and happiness were all condensed into this one sentence. When the martial arts competition ended and Shizhou sect won by a narrow margin, Lu Cheng returned to the small dormitory. Yan Zheka replied with the same smiley face. Me too. These 3 short words made Lu Cheng feel a little warm. Yan Zheka continued to send messages. I was watching the Shizhou sect's competition just now. The Lion King is still as powerful as when we were young. The Lion King, Shang Yud, was the top expert of the Shizhou sect. He was nearly 50 years old and was a great master in Lu Cheng's childhood memory. He had won 6 titles, including the King, the Lion King. What a coincidence. I was watching it too. But I only saw half of it. I had a practice match with someone by the lake. Lu Cheng couldn't wait to share the actual combat experience with Yan Zheka. Because of her own regrets, she was a fanatical martial arts competition enthusiast. She should be interested in this kind of thing, right? Chapter 22. Yan Zheka replied quickly, Practice? Are you hurt? It was followed by a stunned emoji. Seeing that Yan Zheka's first reaction was to care whether he was hurt or not, Lu Qing felt warm in his heart and couldn't help but smile. His fingers moved quickly and he added a smiling emoji. I'm fine. There's just a bruise on my back. I asked little Ming to apply the medicine bottle you gave me and rub it open. I have to say, that medicine bottle is really good. Of course I have good taste. Yen Zheka sent a proud emoji. Why did you go to the lakeside? Didn't we just say goodbye to each other? Was it a practice or a fight? Lu Cheng saw her curiosity and didn't want her to misunderstand him as a bad boy who liked to fight. He quickly replied, I was so happy today that I wanted to do a steak by the lakeside to calm down. You're so funny. Yen Zheka replied. Lu Cheng continued, but when I arrived at the lakeside, I met two punks who deliberately provoked me. I didn't want to talk to them, but they surrounded me directly. There was an acquaintance behind them. An acquaintance? Yen Zheka sent a cute emoji with a question mark above its head. Yes, an acquaintance, Wu Dong from the martial arts club. Lu Cheng didn't keep her guessing. Wu Dong? Then how did you beat them? Are you really okay? Yen Zheka didn't send an emoji this time, but a series of questions. I'm fine. If I was, would I still be here talking with you? Lu Cheng said humorously. Yen Zheka sent her most common dumbfounded emoji. Then what happened? Wu Dong is an expert of amateur second pin. You didn't get hurt in the fight with him. Of course I couldn't beat them. Judging from their footwork, they should be of amateur 8th or 9th pin. At that time, I only had one thought in my mind. Lu Cheng deliberately kept her guessing. Conversation was about interaction. What thought? Yen Zheka sent a curious emoji. Of the 36 stratagems, the best strategy is to run away. If you can't beat them, run away. Lu Cheng sent a laughing emoji. It was too late. Before they surrounded me, I ran to the lakeside woods. Yen Zheka sent a cute emoji of Ultraman and Little Monster eating ice cream side by side. You're so smart. Then how did the fight start? You've been caught? You flatter me. After running for a while, I arrived at the foot of the library hill. I was going to ask for help from the teachers and security guards, but I found Wu Dong and the other two running so fast that they were out of breath. The distance between them was getting wider and wider. At that time I thought to myself, if they are so tired that they can't even straighten their backs and their limbs are so weak that they can't exert any strength, maybe I can give it a try and get some real combat experience? In this part, he slightly modified the idea of a real battle and changed it to that of being chased for a while. He didn't want Yen Zheka to have the impression that he was a troublemaker. After the teenage years, many girls would not have a good impression of a troublemaker. Well, what happened next? Yen Zheka urged him with a blinking expression. After that, I changed my mind. I went around the library hill and ran into West Borough. I even deliberately slowed down so that they wouldn't stop chasing after me. Lu Cheng told the story bit by bit, leaving hooks to arouse Yen Zheka's interest. When they stopped and were out of breath, I immediately turned around and ran back. They were so tired. Didn't you feel anything? Yen Zheka sent an emoji with a blinking question mark above its head. Hee, to tell you the truth, I'm a long-distance runner with good endurance. I just kept a low profile in high school. Lu Cheng boasted. Okay. Yen Zheka didn't say much about this. She sent an emoji with blinking eyes. After you ran back, the first thing you dealt with was those two punks? Yes, you're so smart. Lu Cheng was not stingy with his compliments. Everyone likes compliments as long as it's not exaggerated or melodramatic. Therefore, when chatting with girls, you should be willing to give compliments when you have the chance. If you don't have the chance, then create one. Of course, there are some masochists who need to be attacked and ridiculed. Nothing is absolute in this world. Yen Zheka sent an emoji with a blushing face. Lu Cheng continued, I was worried that those two punks might have knives or daggers, so I dealt with them first. Besides, they were much weaker than Wu Dong. In gaming terms, I was clearing the field so that I wouldn't be involved in a chaotic battle. I don't have much experience, so I would be at a disadvantage. He explained in detail because he felt that with Yen Zheka's hobby, she would be happy to hear the details of actual combat and the specific psychological activities. I think so too. Yen Zheka sent a slightly complacent emoji. Great minds think alike. Lu Cheng praised again. Those two punks were indeed out of breath and had no strength in their hands and feet. I stepped forward and punched one of them, knocking him down and almost suffocating. Then I threw him to the other one, followed by a whip kick to the other one's facebone, making them temporarily unable to fight. After that, I began to speak and formally challenged Wu Dong. What do you think is the best way to fight at this moment? Yan Zhaka sent a contemplative emoji. Wu Dong's strength is not strong, but his advantage is flexibility and agility. When he's tired, it's better to fight at close range so that he won't have time to rest. Yes, smart. That's what I think. Also, Coach Shi once told me that smoking is bad for Wu Dong's health and he is already half disabled. If I put a little more pressure on him, he probably won't be able to catch his breath. So I imitated the snake steps and approached him. I kept fighting at close range. After a few moves, his lower body became weak and his stance was broken by me. He could only roll away to avoid my attacks. And then? How did the injury on your back come about? Yan Zhaka asked, with eyes and question marks flashing in her emoji. With a smile on his face, Lu Qing lay on his side on the bed. At that time, I wanted to take advantage of the situation and attack, but Wu Dong grabbed a handful of sand and threw it at my eyes. I didn't expect this at all, so I could only turn sideways to protect my eyes. Some sand got into my eyes, so I couldn't open them. Yan Zhaka immediately sent a cat emoji of, I'm so scared that I dropped my dried fish. And then, how did you turn the tables? You couldn't open your eyes, but you only got hit by one punch. I was very flustered at that time. Fortunately, I turned sideways and only got hit on my back. But I also lost my center of gravity. Relying on the yin-yang stance, I barely managed to adjust my center of gravity and didn't fall. After a few big steps, I steadied myself. During these big steps, I was also constantly changing my center of gravity and direction. That's why I didn't get hit by Wu Dong's consecutive attacks. Lu Cheng enjoyed his feelings at that time. After I steadied myself, I was surrounded by darkness. I couldn't see anyone and I was inexplicably scared and panicked. Fortunately, Coach Shi found that I was talented in stance training and secretly taught me the condensation stance of the ice sect and the lightning and fire stance of the thunder sect. The condensation stance calms the mind and sharpens the senses. It's really suitable for this kind of blind battle. Yan Zhaka sent a relieved emoji. She had a solid understanding of all aspects of martial arts. Lu Cheng sent a proud smile emoji. Relying on the condensation stance, I regained my calmness. I heard Wu Dong's deliberate footsteps and smelled the smell of alcohol on his body. But I pretended not to notice it and deliberately defended in a daze. When I was sure that he was beside me from all aspects such as heavy breathing, I suddenly changed to the lightning and fire stance and attacked him first. I kicked him so hard that he was rolling on the ground and couldn't get up for a short time. Wonderful. I think it's even more wonderful than tonight's match. Yan Zhaka sent a naughty dog emoji. Cheng, maybe you can really be my idol in the future. Lu Cheng held back his pride and happiness. Don't praise me like that. I'll be proud. By the way, do you have any actual combat experience? When chatting with girls, you should know how to ask questions. You may not be able to get the point by yourself. So the best way is to let the other party talk. No matter what the topic is, as long as it's from you, I'll like to hear it. Of course, there are techniques to asking questions. Asking questions like checking a household register is the most embarrassing and annoying. Me. Yan Zhaka sent a pondering emoji with wind blowing by. I haven't participated in the amateur ranking event. I only have 2 actual combat experiences. The first time was when I was in the 3rd year of junior high school and got home late. Not long after I left school, I was suddenly patted on the back. I was so scared that I subconsciously threw the person behind me. Only after I fell did I realize it was my dad. He saw that I was late and came to school to pick me up. He said that his life was full of bad karma. When he was young, he was thrown by my mom, and when he was middle-aged, he was thrown by me. Dad, please forgive me for being unfilial. I want to be like that too. I really envy my father-in-law. Lu Qing thought to himself shamelessly and played along. You'll get used to it soon. What about the second time? The second time was when I accompanied my best friend to meet a scumbag. He used my best friend's savings as a student and had a foot in 2 boats at the same time. When we arrived there, the mistress wanted to beat him up, but the scumbag still protected her. I was so angry that my lungs were about to explode, so I beat them up. They have some martial arts foundation, so it can be considered as actual combat. Yen Zhaka sent an angry emoji. What a scumbag. He should be castrated. Lu Cheng took the side of his female comrade without hesitation. Your best friend was blind. I didn't expect you to be a heroine. Once the topic started, they talked until 10:30 without any awkward silence. Lu Cheng said good night with great perseverance and fell asleep happily. The next day by the lake, Lu Cheng couldn't hold back his pride and impulse to show off. He said to Geezer Shi, Master, I beat Wudong last night. Geezer Shi raised his eyebrows. Beat Wudong? You must have relied on your abnormal endurance to beat him until he was out of breath, right? He saw through me. Lu Cheng didn't know what to say. I can figure it out even with my toes. You can show off in front of me when you can beat Wudong in the martial arts arena and become the main force of the martial arts club. Geezer Shi said proudly. As for this year's national martial arts competition, you'd better be a logistic support or a cheerleader. Watch and observe more. Lu Cheng was not surprised or disappointed. After all, he had only practiced martial arts for 3 weeks. Speaking of which, Master, the martial arts competition will be held next weekend, right? Yes, and this year's opening ceremony will be held at Songqing University. There will be a first pin expert as a guest. Geezer Shi said. Who is it? Lu Cheng asked excitedly. This was not only his own curiosity, but also a topic to talk about with Yen Zhaka. Geezer Shi smiled. It's not a titled expert. It's Liang Yifan from Shanghai. Him? Good. I also admire him a lot. Lu Cheng said happily. Liang Yifan was a martial artist who was a late bloomer. When he was young, he could only practice ordinary martial arts and was a sparring partner in the martial arts club. At 22 years old, he was only of amateur second pin, even worse than Chen Zhonghua of the martial arts club. But even so, he was gradually honed and recognized. He broke the rule of no hope for the rest of your life if you can't reach physical invulnerability before 30, and stepped into the top 3 pin at 32 years old. He was an ordinary and steady man who cherished family ties. For martial arts enthusiasts like Lu Cheng, Liang Yifan was the template of their fantasies. Late bloomers are exactly like us. Chapter 23. Worship. Geezer Shi smacked his lips as if he disdained Lu Cheng's idea. When you can defeat the martial artist you worship, that's the greatest respect you can show them. Worship? Respect? Then defeat him? Hearing Geezer Shi's words, Lu Cheng's heart was set ablaze. It was the flame of ambition, not why, but ambition. Can I? Can I really? The flame made Lu Cheng tremble slightly. He completely forgot about the pride he had after defeating Wudong with his wits, adaptability, and strength. He changed the topic and said, Master, do you think we can enter the national final in this martial arts competition? The National University Martial Arts Competition was divided into 8 divisions. The top 2 of each division would enter the final circle and finish the competition in one place. The division competition was held from November to January, and the national final was held in May. Geezer Shi rolled his eyes and said, Do you think I'm a god? You want to enter the top 2 after only 1 month of special training? But Lin Ke will join us. Lu Cheng's voice became weaker and weaker. Master, what do you think our martial arts club is in the division universities? We're better than a lot of newbies. But it's impossible for us to enter the top 4. Maybe we can fight for the top 8. Geezer Shi thought for a while and said, A professional 9th pin fighter is very impressive for freshmen, but not necessarily for juniors or seniors. Songqing University is not the only school with good seedlings, good foundation, and good coaches. Last year, there was at least 1 professional 9th pin fighter in the top 8 of the division. And that was last year. Now, a year has passed. Except for those who have graduated and left school, they won't stay still. Maybe they'll relax and regress. Lu Cheng complained silently but didn't dare to say it out loud. How many professional 9th pin fighters are there in Shanbei University? he asked curiously. They were last year's national champions. Geezer sure smiled and said, "Why are you asking them? You haven't learned how to walk yet and you want to run?" Last year, Peng Liyun was of professional 8th pin. With his talent and hard work, he should be able to advance 1 pin in 1 year before the physical invulnerability. Their martial arts club's president, Su Wanyan, is also of professional 9th pin, but he has some supernatural ability, so he can't be treated as a normal professional 9th pin fighter. A professional 9th pin fighter graduated in his 4th year, but there seems to be another new recruit. This kind of strong martial arts school is much more attractive than Songqing University in this aspect. Just by listening to the introduction, Lu Qing deeply felt the huge gap between Songqing University and Shanbei University's martial arts level. Even without Peng Liyun, Su Wanyan was very likely to defeat his own martial arts club. Was this the difference between an ordinary strong school and a national champion? Seeing Lu Cheng's solemn expression, Geezer sure chuckled. So, this year is a training exercise. Next year when Lin K has improved, you've grown up, and the other's martial arts level has improved significantly, we'll have a chance to make it to the national finals. You've also grown up. Lu Cheng was excited and proud. He blurted out, "Master, I didn't expect you to think so highly of me and think so highly of me." He mimicked Crayon Shinchan, scratching his head and smiling foolishly. Geezer sure said, "I'm just saying. You don't have to take it seriously." Lu Cheng looked up at the sky and pretended not to be embarrassed. Geezer sure stopped talking about the martial arts club and changed the topic. "After yesterday's fight with Wu Dong, I believe you've learned a lot. And I've seen your practice with Li Mao. You can be considered to be familiar with the moves. From today on, I'll teach you the moves of the body refining stage officially. The previous moves could only be considered as a combination of basic movements and force skills." Lu Cheng restrained his excitement and saluted. "Thank you, master. What's the move?" Geezer sure coughed and forced himself to hide his playfulness. "The root of my inheritance is the Ice Divine Kung Fu, which is now the unique skill of the Ice sect. But in the body refining stage, you don't have to care too much about the attribute of the Kung Fu. It won't affect your physical invulnerability in the future. Today, I'll teach you the body refining Kung Fu derived from the unique skill of the Ice sect, 24 Blizzard Strikes." 24 Blizzard Strikes? At this exciting moment, Kai Zhongming's face suddenly flashed in Lu Cheng's mind. If little Ming were here, he would definitely say, 24 Blizzard Strikes? The first move would be called, "I'm Your Father." This move is known for its ferocity and craziness. But the mind must not follow the craziness. Instead, it must be as calm as water condensing into ice. Together with the explosive power of the lightning and fire stance, it's definitely the best in the body refining stage. Geezer sure began to explain. Lu Cheng listened very carefully. This was the first set of moves he had learned. Time flew. He had just memorized the key points of the 24 Blizzard Strikes when it was time to train with the other members of the martial arts club. Geezer sure stood in front of the members of the special training and looked at the remaining 12 members. He said in a low voice, "Wu Dong was injured in an accident and can't come to the special training for a while. Next week is the regional competition of the National Martial Arts Club. I'll announce the main force and the substitutes." Li Mao and the others, who had the potential to compete for the main force and the substitute, held their breaths and the atmosphere became tense. Yan Zhaka nodded slightly at Wu Dong's unexpected injury and couldn't participate in the special training. Then she smiled at Lu Cheng. "The main force is Lin Ke, Chen Zhonghua, and Sun Jian." Geezer sure gave the answer that everyone agreed with. Even if Wu Dong was not injured, he was no match for Sun Jian. Chen Zhonghua's hands had recovered after half a month of recuperation. After announcing the main force, Geezer sure glanced at Chen Zhonghua. "You're a senior and will graduate in July next year. You may not have a chance to meet us in the future. You don't need to do your best in this regional competition. But you've been in the martial arts club for more than 3 years and been the club president for almost 2 years. Don't you have any feelings for this club? 4 years have passed. Don't you want to leave something here? Don't you want your junior brothers and sisters to say that Songqing University Martial Arts Club began to return to glory when Chen Zhonghua was the club president? Fame and fortune were hard to escape in life." Chen Zhonghua, who was expressionless, nodded solemnly. Don't worry, Coach Shi. I'll do my best. If I can get into the top 8 in the last year, I won't have wasted these years. Geezer Shi smiled satisfactorily at his good attitude. You'll definitely get into the top 8. He turned to the others and said, the 3 substitutes are Li Mao, Lin Hua, and Guo Qing. In a similar group martial arts competition, each side would have 3 people fight in order. The winner would continue to accept challenges until all 3 people from one side were defeated. Then, the competition would be considered over. Since the name list and order of the 3 people to fight were determined by the coach before the competition started, it was very important to determine the opponent's members and order. This was so that the coach could consider the exchange, counterattack, and consumption tactics. In a martial arts competition, not to mention professional fighters with weapons licenses, even in an amateur competition, there was a saying that punches and kicks had no eyes. No matter how good the referees and supervisors were, they couldn't prevent all injuries. So substitutes were necessary. Hearing her name, Guo Qing was a little surprised. She was stunned for a moment before she cheered and high-fived Yan Zhaka beside her, as if she had already won the championship. You're in good shape and have great potential. After 3 weeks of training, even if you can't reach the level of amateur 4th pin, you'll be one of the best in 5th pin. Geezer Shi was never so mean to girls. Wu Dong was injured. Except for Li Mao, Lin Hua, and Sun Jian, the other seniors were all of amateur 5th pin. It was natural to choose Guo Qing. It's a pity that Xiaoming didn't participate in the special training. Lu Cheng sighed secretly. As for the rest of you, Yan Zhaka and Li Xiaowen, find other girls during the martial arts class and form a cheerleading team. Create a cheering atmosphere in the stands. Lu Cheng and Wu Meng, you guys gather 20 to 30 male members and cooperate with the school security department and the student union to do the security work. Geezer Shi continued to order. Everyone was stunned. After a long time, Chen Zhonghua finally asked, Coach Shi, what's the security work? Geezer Shi laughed and said, you don't know? This year's opening ceremony is in Songqing University. There will be a 1st pin fighter here. You don't have to worry about his safety. All of you together won't be able to defeat one of his hands. Before he finished, most of the special training members were excited. Which mighty pin fighter? Who? Can we all ask for his signature? Geezer Shi coughed and said, we'll know who he is in a few days. The 1st pin fighter himself doesn't need our protection. He should be protecting us. The specific security work is to cooperate with the school security department and the student union to block the paparazzi, the fan club, and the fan club. If there's a chance, I'll help you to ask for his signature. Long live Coach Shi. The special training members shouted in unison, as if their tiredness had disappeared. After shouting, they looked at each other and inexplicably felt that they were a team. Even Chen Zhonghua's eyes softened when he looked at Lin Quebec. Geezer Shi smiled and stretched out his hand to signal them to calm down. The district competition is around the corner. We still have a lot of things to do. First, we need to collect information. Divide it among yourselves and find out all the information and videos of last year's district competition and national competition. When the draw is over and the opponent is confirmed, the main force and substitutes will immediately watch the corresponding video to understand the enemy. As soon as he finished, Lin K raised his hand and said, Coach Shi, I have all the information. Good, very good. Remember to pass it to me. Geezer Shi nodded with satisfaction. This was the first time Lu Cheng heard Lin K speak so much since he joined the martial arts club. He couldn't help but want to complain. According to talker Kai Xiaoming, when Songqing University Martial Arts Club participated in the competition in the future, everyone would sympathize with them because the commentator would say that the main force of Songqing University Martial Arts Club, Lin K, was born deaf and mute, but strong in will. Second, in a week, I'll teach you the first 12 moves of the 24 blizzard strikes of the ice sect. Geezer Shi stretched his muscles. Hee, I can learn 24 moves while you can only learn half. This is the difference in treatment. Lu Cheng felt a little proud and took the opportunity to review and master the first part. At noon, the sparring session was over. Lu Cheng came to Yan Zhaka and Guo Qing again, as usual for the past few weeks. I wonder which 1st pin expert will come this time. Yan Zhaka took the initiative to ask, full of curiosity. Lu Cheng chuckled and said, I know. Who is it? Yan Zheka's dark eyes were shining brightly, making people unconsciously indulge in them. Liang Yifan from Shanghai. Lu Cheng didn't keep her in suspense. Liang Yifan? Yan Zheka's slightly thin face was filled with joy. He's also my idol. Guo Qing beside them was also very excited. You have so many idols. Lu Cheng teased. Yan Zheka puffed up her cheeks and said playfully, if it was the Dragon King Cheng, I wanted to break into your security, would you go easy on me? I've been a traitor for a long time. Lu Cheng answered without hesitation. Both of them burst into laughter. After a while, Yan Zheka sighed and said, I hope Coach sure can succeed and let us get the autograph. Autograph. Lu Cheng repeated silently. Chapter 24. A week later, at 1 o'clock in the morning, near Songqing University Hotel, it was not quiet at night. Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming wore the martial arts club's special training suits and held walkie-talkies, guarding the door. Behind them was the brightly lit lobby. In front of them were the shadows of the security department, the student union, and other members of the martial arts club. The school is so stingy. They only gave us a martial arts suit when they asked us to stay up late as security guards. Kai Zongming tugged at his white martial arts suit with black edges and complained, if it wasn't for my girlfriend who likes Liang Yifan and wants his autograph, I wouldn't have come. Lu Cheng looked at him with hidden bitterness. Talker, that's not what you said. You said we'll be brothers for life. Cheng, who will help you if I don't? Although I'm so active because I want to get Yan Zheka's autograph. Ha! Kai Zongming laughed dryly. If it's just an autograph, I can definitely entrust it to you. Didn't Qin Mo say that if you can help him get an autograph, he will provide you with food for a week? If it wasn't for our brotherhood, why would I stay up late to accompany you? Why isn't Liang Yifan here yet? He said his flight is at 12:05. It'll take him more than 40 minutes to get here. Planes are rarely delayed. Lu Cheng looked outside and saw people everywhere. Some were squatting, some were walking back and forth, some were holding banners, some were whispering, some were looking excited, and some were holding cameras. Most of them were young people. Kai Zongming looked at the scene and sighed. It's already midnight, but there are still hundreds of fans waiting here. The appeal of a first pin Mighty Ones is really awesome. This is the only place we can see, Lu Cheng said with a smile. Lu Cheng chuckled. Fortunately, I've pulled some strings with Geezer Sure. Otherwise, how do you think the two of us can stay here? Those guys from the student council and the security department are all jealous. This is a good place to get close to him. Cheng, I'll praise you more. Kai Zongming gave him a thumbs up. When we change shifts at dawn, will you still go to practice martial arts? Lu Cheng left the house at 5 o'clock every day to train. He could hide it from others, but he couldn't hide it from his roommates. He had already explained to them that he was going to increase the amount of martial arts training. Of course I have to go. I'll go back to sleep after I'm done with the training. Otherwise, I'll slack off if I don't have an excuse for not going. Lu Cheng answered calmly. He didn't find it hard or tiring at all. Instead, he took it for granted. While the two of them were talking, there was suddenly a commotion outside. They looked up and saw 3 black cars in the distance. As the vehicle slowly approached, the surrounding sound waves exploded one after another. Many people were shouting themselves hoarse and rhythmically. Liang Yifan! Liang Yifan! Liang Yifan! Hey, hey, hey! Those at the door, hurry up and stop the fans and reporters from coming closer. Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming's walkie-talkies buzzed. Both of them were a little shocked by such a scene. After looking at each other, they came back to their senses and quickly rushed out. Together with the other security guards, they came to the side of the car that had just stopped and formed a large circle. According to the practice method, they held hands and blocked the tide of fans and reporters who were trying to fish in troubled waters. The force of the tide was quite fierce. Lu Cheng and the others' outer defense line was almost broken through. Fortunately, Kai Zongming's strength of amateur fifth pin was not just for show. Lu Cheng's coordination and strength had improved a lot. They barely managed to stop the tide, which attracted the angry stares of the fans. Do you think there will be a group of people on the Shanghai Club or Liang Yifan's BBS live broadcast? A group of people will scold us security guards as boorish hooligans who don't know what's good for them and don't care about our feelings? Under such circumstances, Kai Zongming still couldn't stop his mouth. He found a chance to talk to Lu Cheng. Lu Cheng nervously stopped him and answered casually, "Maybe they will frame us for beating people up and bullying people. Even if there is no news, we have to make some news." At this time, the car door was opened. Lu Cheng knew from the more intense reaction of the fans that Liang Yifan had appeared. Unfortunately, he couldn't see him because his back was facing him. The tide became more turbulent and the shouts louder. Lu Cheng felt that his defense line was about to be broken. At this critical moment, he heard a clear and mellow voice. "Everyone, please be quiet. I, Liang Yifan, am flattered to receive such love from all of you. But it's already early in the morning. We can't disturb other people's rest for our own sake. Everyone be quiet. I'll be here with you." In such a noisy and chaotic scene, this voice was no different. It was equally clear to everyone's ears. The noise stopped abruptly. The outside of the hotel returned to silence. The crowd also stopped. Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming turned their heads and saw a man of medium height standing on the stairs at the entrance of the hotel. His height was similar to Lu Cheng's. He was wearing a simple dark blue martial arts suit. He had a calm temperament and was not an ordinary person. Just by standing there, he had the feeling of the deep sea and the boundless earth. People directly ignored his ordinary appearance. "It's really Liang Yifan," Kai Zongming whispered. Liang Yifan was in his 30s. It was the age when men were most mature but not old. Facing the eyes of the fans, he smiled gently and said, "It's hard to return the favor. Everyone, please line up and sign. I won't go up until tonight. Of course, don't make a noise. It's not good to disturb others. We are all people with good manners." Hearing this, the fans were inexplicably moved. The girls even covered their mouths with tears, crying and saying that Liang Yifan was so nice. The walkie-talkie of Lu Cheng and the others sounded again. "You guys maintain order and let them line up quietly." With the change of responsibilities, Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming started to work again. They stopped the people who cut in line and let the fans line up orderly. One by one, they went up to sign. The reporters next to them were flashing their cameras, recording the scene. The night was quiet. Kai Zongming looked at Liang Yifan, who was earnestly signing autographs under the lights. He then looked at the fans and reporters who were seriously waiting in line. Suddenly he turned to Lu Cheng and said in a low voice, "Cheng." "What?" Lu Cheng asked blankly. Kai Zongming took a deep breath and said in an unprecedentedly serious tone, "I want to join the special training." Lu Cheng looked at him deeply and pursed his lips. He seemed to feel the same way. He didn't say much while maintaining order. Minutes and seconds passed. At 3 o'clock in the morning, there were only a few people left in the line to sign autographs. The crowd around them was reluctant to leave. Seeing that the line was getting shorter and shorter and was about to end, Lu Cheng exhaled and suddenly stepped out of the line. Taking advantage of the geographical advantage, he was at the end of the line in a few steps. There were only 3 fans in front of him. "Hey, who are you? What are you doing? Go back." An angry voice came from the walkie-talkie. Lu Cheng reached out his hand and turned off the walkie-talkie directly. At this moment, he felt that he was very manly. "Can you give me a punishment for this kind of thing? I'll accept it even if you give me a punishment." Kai Zongming's mouth was half open and he was stunned for a while. Then he suddenly jumped out and lined up behind Lu Cheng. He also turned off the walkie-talkie. "Cheng, I worship you today," he said in a low voice. Lu Cheng was already in front of Liang Yifan. He took out a small cute notebook that he had prepared in advance and said a little nervously, "Mr. Liang, my friends and I worship you very much. We hope you can sign an autograph." Liang Yifan smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry. You've worked hard all night. I've seen it all. Just take turns to sign autographs." His voice wasn't loud, but it spread all around. The students who acted as security personnel cheered in a low voice. Seeing Liang Yifan turn the pages of the notebook and sign 3 autographs, Lu Cheng was happy and moved. Thank you, thank you." Half an hour later, at the entrance of the hotel. Fortunately, nothing happened this time. "If you did something wrong, I'd like to see how you explain it to me." At that time, I can even expel you. The deputy director of the security department roared in front of Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming, carrying out the fiercest reprimand. After a while he said reluctantly, I'll talk to your dean. Whether you'll be punished or not depends on your attitude when the time comes. Teacher, you're right. It's all our fault. We were too young and impulsive. Kai Zongming was always flexible. Lu Cheng also followed suit. After all, he had already gotten the autograph. When the matter was dealt with in their own school, there was a lot of room for negotiation. It was a good tradition of every group to protect their own. After sending the deputy director away, Lu Cheng exhaled and said, You're really good. No wonder you used to be a master of professional seventh pin. After working in the office for so many years, you almost made me lose my concealment of spirit and qi. You were still stance just now? Kai Zongming glanced sideways at Lu Cheng. Yeah. Otherwise it would be so boring. Lu Cheng said matter-of-factly. At this time, it was close to 5 o'clock. The crowd had dispersed. The hotel was unusually quiet. The autumn wind rustled their clothes. Kai Zongming and Lu Cheng subconsciously fell into silence. Looking at the lights in the hotel lobby and feeling the autumn chill outside, Lu Cheng suddenly said, Talker, do you really want to join the special training of the martial arts club? Aren't you afraid that you won't have time to accompany your girlfriend? Aren't you afraid that you won't have time to sleep in and play games? Kai Zongming exhaled a breath of hot air and said, My girlfriend has always been a straight-A student. I'll encourage her to choose a second major. Also, I'll save the time to video chat with her. Hee hee, I plan to fly to the capital during Christmas and New Year's Day and date for a few days. Now I need to save money. He came from a well-off family. His monthly allowance was more than twice that of Lu Cheng's, a total of 3,000 yuan. However, he was also a spendthrift. He never had any leftovers. As for the problem of school attendance, with the help of his roommates, he would only miss 3 or 4 classes at most after holidays and weekends. Without waiting for Lu Cheng to speak, he continued. I've thought it through. After graduating from college, we will enter society. We won't have the free time, energy, impulse, and passion like now. I've always liked martial arts. Although I'm lazy, I still often fantasize about it. What's the difference between a man and a salted fish if he doesn't have dreams? I don't want to spend my 4 years in college with nothing but games as memories after classes and exams. My talent is not bad. I'm now of amateur 5th pin. When the time comes, there's still hope for me to enter the professional martial arts circle. Anyway, I'll give it a try. Who knows? Just like how you chase your goddess. Who knows? Maybe you'll hit the jackpot. Lu Cheng rolled his eyes at him and said, You're just expressing your feelings. Why are you insulting me? I'm used to it. Kai Zongming laughed. The two looked at each other and smiled. Suddenly, they had a tacit understanding and said the same line at the same time. Life is short. Why not give it a try? Chapter 25. The next night, Songqing University Martial Arts Gym was brightly lit and crowded. The New Year's National University Martial Arts Competition was about to begin. Lu Cheng waited for Yan Zheka outside the women's locker room. He handed the cute notebook to her with a smile. Liang Yifan's signature. I tore it off myself as a souvenir. Yan Zheka opened her eyes wide in surprise and joy. She turned to the 2 pages of the signature and confirmed the authenticity. You really got it. Really thank you so much. Lu Cheng calmed down and smiled gently. Why are you thanking me? Didn't you give me a bottle of medicine before? Returning the favor was an excuse to avoid awkwardness between both sides. You're right. Yan Zheka nodded slightly and said thoughtfully, I wanted to treat you to a meal. Since you said so, thank you. Treat me to a meal? Is this a private date? I missed it so perfectly. Lu Cheng opened his mouth slightly and almost showed a sluggish expression. He regretted it so much that he almost slapped himself. Who told you to talk too much? Who told you to explain first? Actually, I don't mind if you treat me to a meal. He forced himself to say. Yan Zheka curved her eyes and smiled slyly. Don't you have the ointment? Why treat me to a meal? Before Lu Cheng answered, She smiled brightly with her bright dimples. Since you missed the chance, you can only wait for the next time. Next time I'll pick an expensive one. Lu Cheng joked to ease his regret. Expensive one? Then I won't treat you, Yen Zheka dragged her tone. I'm wrong. If Yen Zheka treats me to a meal, I'll wolf down the food at the roadside stall. Lu Cheng put his hands together and replied jokingly. Yen Zheka tilted her head slightly and said with a smile, wolf down the food? You can eat so much? Then I won't treat you. Look at my sincere eyes. Lu Cheng felt that he needed an expression package urgently. By the way, why do you have such a girly notebook? Yen Zheka smiled and changed the topic. I bought it specially. A rough man like me never uses a notebook. Lu Cheng made a self-deprecating remark. Oh. Yen Zheka smiled and was about to say something else when Guoqing waved at her from not far away. Cheng, I have to go now. I still have something to do. Yen Zheka pointed at Guoqing. As cheerleaders, they had to try to stir up the mood of the audience tonight and create a warm atmosphere. That was to take the lead in clapping and shouting. After all, it was a live broadcast. It was best not to have an awkward silence. Lu Cheng waved and watched her leave. Kai Zongming, who had been waiting nearby, leaned over and said seriously, Cheng, do you know how I felt when I heard your conversation? What? Lu Cheng was prepared to be insulted. Hold it in, can't laugh, can't hold it in, ha 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 ha. Kai Zongming laughed loudly. You talk too much. Who asked you to find excuses? That's why you didn't consult me first. You don't have a chance to go on a date, right? Do you regret it now? You must be grieving, right? Lu Cheng glanced at him. Little Ming, come here. What? Kai Zongming replied warily. Let me strangle you. Lu Cheng said fiercely. We should go and maintain order. Today's venue also needed to maintain order. The two wore Songqing University martial arts suits and were arranged near the guest area. Dozens of universities participating in the district competition had sent instructors or vice principals. The top two martial arts clubs from last year's district competition, Shanbei University Martial Arts Club and Sanjiang College Martial Arts Club, were invited to participate in the national finals. All the main and substitute members were invited to participate. Shanbei University Martial Arts Club, as last year's overall champion, would go on stage to draw lots for the other schools later. Yen Zheka walked to Guoqing. She didn't mention the notebook and Liang Yifan's signature. Instead, she talked about how to stir up the atmosphere of the stands tonight. During the conversation, when they talked about Liang Yifan's participation in the draw, Guoqing seemed to think of something and said, Cuckoo, I heard that Cheng was really awesome last night. What happened to him? Yen Zheka asked curiously. He came out of the security team and asked for Liang Yifan's signature in front of the deputy director of the security department. The deputy director yelled at him through the walkie-talkie and asked him to go back. He turned off the walkie-talkie directly. He was so awesome that he wasn't afraid of being punished. Guoqing gossiped. Fortunately, Liang Yifan didn't mind. After that, the deputy director only scolded him. Hearing Guoqing's story, Yen Zheka bit her lower lip with her pearly white teeth. Her eyes became gentle and the corners of her mouth lifted slightly. Her right hand gently stroked the cover of the notebook. A young man in a tuxedo with a black bow tie stood in the aisle of the guest area. He looked at the male locker room of Songqing University Martial Arts Club and chuckled to his companions beside him. Lin Kei joined Songqing University this year. We can't underestimate him. If we have time, we should watch their matches. President, Lin Kei is nothing. Why should we pay attention to him? A tall young man with a somewhat childish face said with a flattering smile, In ancient times, you could be an immortal. Not at all. That's because the ancient people were too inexperienced. The man in the tuxedo smiled complacently. His feet left the ground and floated up 10 centimeters. He floated up and floated to the back row of the guest area along the aisle. The guest area was higher than the one before. The man in the tuxedo had just floated past a few rows when he suddenly heard a familiar voice. Chu Hui, you're still so showy. The man in the tuxedo turned his head and saw a young man in a white martial arts suit standing at the edge of the row, looking at him with his arms crossed. He was about 1.8 meters tall, with messy eyebrows and heavy dark circles under his eyes. He looked tired, as if he often stayed up late. "Hey, Su Wanyan, you haven't changed either. You're still a gangster." Chu Hui sneered. "No matter how showy I am, I won't be defeated by a new member of the club." Su Wanyan, the president of Shanbei University Martial Arts Club, smiled slightly. "You don't have to provoke me. I'm sincerely convinced by junior brother Peng. I won't nag you anymore. Watch your step. Don't fall." Watching him take his seat, Chu Hui floated to the back row and asked in confusion, "Did he eat something wrong? Did Su Wanyan eat the wrong medicine? Why is he so easy to talk to? He must have taken the wrong medicine. Otherwise, why would he curse you to fall and ask you to watch your step? You're floating in the air. Why would you care about that?" The tall young man with a childish face laughed. "Yeah, among all the people here, you're the least likely one to fall." The other members of the martial arts club of Sanjiang College echoed. Chu Hui also found it funny. He couldn't help but look back at Su Wanyan. What does he mean by that? Bang! As soon as Chu Hui finished speaking and turned around, he bumped head-on into a pillar that supported the dome. His nose was sore from the collision, and tears flowed down his cheeks. He forgot to maintain his superpower and fell backward. His companions hurriedly caught him. "What the F***ck is this building? A pillar in the middle of the road." The childish young man scolded and blamed the pillar. At this time, they were approaching the last row. Chu Hui floated up again. His tuxedo was not messy at all. He looked at Su Wanyan seriously. "I really fell. How could they not notice such a huge pillar standing right in front of them?" In the row of Shanbei University, Su Wanyan saw Chu Hui fall down. He smiled and said to the other members, "Did you see that? Senior brother Su, is this your supernatural ability?" The members of the martial arts club asked at once. A handsome young man with freckles pursed his lips thoughtfully. Su Wanyan said proudly, "Yes, I didn't realize it before. I thought I was simply a jinx. Fortunately, junior brother Peng noticed this and found someone to help me discover the supernatural ability of this jinx." While speaking, he patted the shoulder of the young man next to him. The young man turned around with a blank face. Everyone was talking excitedly, but he still looked like he was daydreaming. "Nothing, junior brother Peng. You can continue to think about your physics problems and life problems." Su Wanyan laughed and patted Peng Liyun's shoulder again. Peng Liyun had light fluff above his mouth. His skin was as smooth as a girl's. He didn't look outstanding, but he looked very clean. Hearing this, he didn't ask any more. Instead, he turned around and continued to think about life. "Senior brother Su, to what extent can your supernatural ability reach?" the young man with freckles asked. Su Wanyan smiled and answered, "Now it can only slightly interfere with the opponent. If it goes beyond that, the opponent will have a terrible headache and no effect." He wanted to show off, so he pointed at the two people below and said, "I'll show you again." Lu Cheng and Kai Zhongming followed the instructions from the walkie-talkie to the designated maintenance spot. After climbing a few steps, they heard a voice. "Hey, you there." Lu Cheng turned around and saw a group of young men and women in Shanbei University martial arts suits. He was puzzled. "Why do you call me? Is Peng Liyun here?" Su Wanyan smiled and said, "It's a little slippery in front. Someone fell down just now. You have to watch your step. Don't fall down too." "Oh, thank you," Lu Cheng said gratefully. Suddenly, the jindan in his lower abdomen jumped. The nebula suddenly expanded and contracted rapidly. Lu Cheng was stunned. His jindan had returned to its original state and nothing happened. What happened? He frowned and walked up with Kai Zhongming in confusion. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. They stood near the last row, overlooking the whole stadium. Why didn't it work? The members of the Shanbei University Martial Arts Club, who were waiting for a good show, were stunned. He was safe and sound. Su Wanyan was also surprised. He stood up and walked into the aisle. He looked carefully, but Lu Cheng was still alive and kicking. He was still smiling. "What's wrong?" Su Wanyan turned around in confusion. Just then he slipped. He didn't have time to adjust his center of gravity and was about to roll all the way to the bottom. A hand reached over and held him firmly, preventing him from falling. There will be a corresponding backlash if the spirit of speech fails. Peng Liyun, who had been in a trance, suddenly woke up and said with deep eyes, "Ah, junior brother Peng, what happened just now?" Su Wanyan stood up and asked in surprise, "Why did I fail?" Peng Liyun shook his head, indicating that he didn't know either. Then he looked back and whispered to himself, "I smell the starry sky." His eyes were empty again. Chapter 26. The opening ceremony of the National University Martial Arts Competition started on time while Su Wanyan was still in shock. First, the symphony orchestra of Songqing University played, followed by the lively dance group. "I can take a nap after the dance." Kai Zongming yawned as if he was very experienced. Lu Cheng also pretended to be scared. During the opening ceremony, the principal talked nonsense for 1.5 hours. If he does that again today, will he be beaten? I don't know if he'll beat me up, but he's not the only one with a lot of nonsense today. I watched the video of last year's opening ceremony a few days ago, and I still remember the long speech of the president of the Martial Arts Federation. It almost hypnotized me. Kai Zongming looked like he was going to sacrifice himself for justice. In the front row of the guest seats, where the Shanbei University Martial Arts Club was, Su Wanyan listened to the speech of the principal of Songqing University. His eyes showed obvious tiredness, but he didn't dare to sleep because there was a live TV broadcast today. He's too talkative. The corner of the mouth of the handsome young man with freckles beside him twitched. "Senior brother Su, can you jinx that old man and make him forget his lines, throw away his manuscripts, or have high blood pressure or something?" Su Wanyan was silent for a moment and sighed. "I want to, but it's too damn far away." As he spoke, he looked at Peng Liyun beside him. "At times like this, I envy and worship junior brother Peng the most. Regardless of whether or not there are people around him talking, he can still think about life and let his mind wander. I suspect that he actually has the ability to sleep with his eyes open. I also envy brother Liyun. He can daydream while talking." Another member of the martial arts club echoed. "Keep your voices down." The instructor of the Shanbei University Martial Arts Club sitting in the front row turned around and said. He was middle-aged, white-haired, deep-set, old-fashioned, and had a good reputation in the martial arts club. Everyone immediately fell silent. Half an hour later, Kai Zongming's eyes were glazed over and he was about to fall asleep. "Cheng, let's talk. Otherwise I'll fall asleep standing up and roll down the stairs. Then I'll become the laughingstock of the whole country. I think the principal is almost done. There are so many guests today, and everyone has to say a few words. If he takes too much time, the opening ceremony will continue until dawn." Lu Cheng comforted himself. The atmosphere created by the dance and music had dropped to the freezing point. As soon as Lu Cheng finished his speech, it seemed that there was indeed a time limit to his speech. The principal stopped abruptly and bowed to the end of the speech. He stepped down from the stage with a look of dissatisfaction. "Pa! Pa!" Sincere and warm applause rang out in the stadium, almost overturning the roof. Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming also applauded hard, feeling as if they had escaped a great disaster. "Thank you, Mr. Principal, for sparing our lives. Next, let's welcome the president of the National University Martial Arts Federation, Mr. Fang Jinjue, to give a speech." The host invited the next guest. Kai Zongming opened his mouth slightly. "Cheng, let's talk." Lu Cheng stared ahead at the cameras in various positions and muttered to himself, "What should we talk about? Do you know that there's a special competition system in the martial arts competition?" Kai Zongming started to chat wholeheartedly. "I didn't crawl out of a grave. How could I not know? Under normal circumstances, each side will send out 3 fighters, and they will fight one by one. The winner will stay, and the loser will leave. The side that loses all 3 fighters will lose. But sometimes, they can apply for a special competition format in advance. All 3 fighters will fight at the same time, so that they can take advantage of certain martial arts combinations." Listening to President Fang Jinjue's endless speech, Lu Cheng casually mentioned the special competition format. Kai Zongming smiled. "Then do you know the story of the special competition system?" What story? Lu Cheng was suddenly interested. Kai Zongming smiled. It said that when the professional martial arts competition was first established, the Xuanwu sect went to the then leader of the Wulin League, Old Master Lin Zhongshuan, who was a warrior sage, king, and other titles. He said that the competition system was unfair. Our sect was founded on sword formations and was good at triple light sword formation. Isn't it unfair to fight one-on-one with one's weakness? Well, that's right. Some sects are good at formations instead of fighting one-on-one. The normal competition system is indeed unfair to them. Lu Cheng agreed. Kai Zongming chuckled. Old Master Lin thought so too, so he set up a special competition format. As long as you apply in advance, you can let 3 disciples go on the field at the same time and set up a sword formation. The opponents can either team up with 3 people and use the formation to break the formation, or let the 3 martial artists on the substitutes bench go up together and use numbers against the sword formation. It's quite fair. Why is it funny that the sect that is not good at formations has the advantage of numbers? Lu Cheng glanced at Kai Zongming in confusion. Why are you laughing? Kai Zongming held back his laughter and said, after hearing this, the head of Kongtong School couldn't sit still. He also went to Old Master Lin and said that we can't be biased. Kongtong School is good at 5 elements of 5 directions. 3 disciples can't set it up at all. That's true. Lu Cheng hesitated. He opened it and said loudly, Shannon University Martial Arts Club. This was the 3rd team of last year. Group B. Shanbei University Martial Arts Club. As soon as Liang Yifan finished speaking, the coaches in the hall looked at each other. This group could only compete for the 2nd place. Group C. Sanjiang College. Group D. Haiyuan College. After drawing the seeded teams of each group, Liang Yifan bowed and left the stage. The other guests would draw the teams of each group for the elimination competition. Lu Cheng was a little worried. He was a little concerned about the honor of the martial arts club. He was a little disappointed that the Songqing University Martial Arts Club was not among the teams of Group A for the elimination competition. Compared to Shanbei and Sanjiang, the other 2 martial arts clubs were not so scary. Group B, the 3rd round of the elimination competition. The home team. The guest drew a piece of paper. Songqing University Martial Arts Club. Damn, it's the most difficult group. Lu Cheng was a little depressed. It's okay. Maybe the other opponents are weak. We have a high chance of winning the 2nd place. Kai Zongming was optimistic. Next, the guest drew the opponent of Songqing University, Neihai Normal School. Not bad. Lu Cheng was relieved to see that it was a recognized weak team. The opponents of the 2nd round of the elimination competition would be Qinyang and the other 2 schools that were not so strong. They had a high chance of entering the group stage. After drawing the lots, it was already late at night. After returning to the dormitory, they had no energy to pay attention to the news and fell asleep one after another. At noon the next day, after returning to the dormitory, Lu Cheng finally had time to browse the forums and websites for news related to the opening ceremony of the National University Martial Arts Club. Because of Liang Yifan's attendance, everyone was quite concerned about it. In the forum of Longhu Club, he found related posts at the bottom of the homepage. There were video news and a special topic by Songqing TV station. Special topic? Lu Cheng didn't have time to read the comments below. He first skimmed through the news video to make sure that he wasn't talking and laughing with Kai Zongming. Only then did he feel relieved. But when he clicked on the Songqing TV station's feature program, what appeared before him was his own face. I'm very excited, very excited. Well, I'm proud of you. With a silly smile on his face, he said silly words. Well, this was the interview he accepted as a bystander outside the martial arts club during the welcome ceremony. Lu Cheng recalled the past and quickly opened the door of the small dormitory, shouting to the other side. Talker! Little Ming! Come and see, we're on TV. After the interview, the 2 of them were looking forward to appearing on TV. From time to time, they would watch the news of Songqing TV station. But they didn't see it and gradually forgot about it. Unexpectedly, this interview was part of the special topic and would be edited and broadcasted during the opening ceremony of the martial arts club. Really? Kai Zhongming ran over and signaled Lu Cheng to pull him back. Hey, not bad. My smile is so handsome, unlike someone who looks silly and silly. Look at the comments. Is there anyone praising me? Chapter 27. To be honest, Lu Cheng would be embarrassed to see a familiar netizen commenting on him from a stranger's point of view. He didn't know how to face them in the future. For a moment, he didn't want to read the comments. It was better to be an ostrich with its head buried in the sand. But he couldn't resist Kai Xiaoming's enthusiasm and constant urging, so he had to continue reading. Apart from the first few comments, the martial arts fanatic Unparalleled Dragon King was the first to reply. Lin K seems to be okay, but it's hard for him to achieve anything. Who asked him to meet the strongest martial artists in the past 10 years? Peng Liyun from Shanbei, Ren Li from the capital, and Chao Yang from Huahai, Zhan Huanqing from Guangnan. They are all famous martial artists. The first two are the direct disciples of their respective sects, while the latter two are reserved by Xinghai. Even if we don't mention other famous martial artists, among this year's freshmen, Li Xiaoyuan from Guangnan and Feng Zhirong from Shanbei are slightly better than Lin Quebec. Damn, who is this? He knows so much about the university martial arts competition? Kai Zhongming was shocked when he saw the reply of Unparalleled Dragon King. Lu Cheng was also full of admiration. He's a martial arts fanatic. It's always right to ask him about martial arts. It's said that he's a rich second generation who came back from studying abroad and has been staying at home all the time. A plumber eating mushrooms also replied, Peng Liyun and Ran Li are freshmen last year. Before they graduate, other schools have no hope. Why? Brahman sent a blank emoji. She was the favorite of the forum. She just graduated from primary school last year and was very childish. A plumber eating mushrooms replied, Hey, you're not retiring this year? Think about it. When Peng Liyun and Ran Li entered school last year and several years ago, a professional 8th pin Danqi stage fighter was enough to compete for the national championship. But it's definitely impossible today because they have passed the ranking event in October and are both of professional 7th pin. With their talent and hard work, they will improve every year. How can the latecomers catch up with them? Can't someone enter Danqi in 1 year and surpass them in 2 years? Brahman refused to admit defeat. Invincible Punch lamented, I failed again in the ranking event. Look at Peng Liyun, look at Lin K and the rest. I really want to die. Some people exist to make you meaningless. After reading many comments, Lu Cheng and Kai Zhongming looked at each other and sighed at the same time. Lin K is famous now. After this live broadcast and special program, he was considered to be a little famous in the country. Looking at the comments again, the veteran Don't Be a Hooligan said, Am I the only one who thinks that the reporter in the feature show is pretty? On the weekends, I'll squeeze out 20 RMB to eat some stir-fried dishes. I've calculated. Including the cost of hot water and internet, it's less than 200 renminbi a month. I still have 2,800 renminbi left. In 2 months, I'll have 5,600 renminbi. Kai Zhongming thought about the process of saving money. Lu Cheng shuddered as he listened to his description. Godmother with plain white rice every day? Will he vomit? Little Ming is really working hard to go to the capital to have fun with his girlfriend. With this kind of perseverance and patience, what can't he do? Sigh, I think I can eat anything when I'm hungry. Kai Zhongming took a deep breath and was full of fearless spirit. He gave the extra autograph to Qin Mo, but since they were roommates, he was too embarrassed to ask him to cover his meals for a week. He just asked him to treat his roommates to a barbecue in 2 days. Lu Cheng gave him a thumbs up. I almost wanted to lend you money after hearing your miserable story. But on second thought, how can I lend you money without money? Ever since he started his martial arts training, his appetite had increased tremendously. Geezer Sher had also specially instructed him on how to match his diet. Even though it was not as particular as the nutritionists in foreign countries, there were still basic requirements. Since then, his monthly food expenses had skyrocketed and doubled to 1,200 renminbi. On the other hand, his monthly living expenses were only 1,300 renminbi. If it were not for the cheap cafeteria, he would not have been able to afford to practice martial arts at all. This did not even include the tuition fees that normal people had to pay to practice martial arts. Fortunately, when he first entered the school, his parents were worried that he would have all kinds of miscellaneous expenses, so they gave him an extra 2,000 yuan as backup. In the end, he was left with 1,000 yuan. Last month, his mother gave him another 800 yuan, so he could afford to go out for social gatherings. Moreover, before he had some gains and results in his martial arts training, he did not want to ask for money from his family because he always felt that he was not doing his job properly. Kai Zhongming shook his head and laughed. I don't like to borrow money from others. I will save what I can, unless I'm really at the end of the line. But if I'm really at the end of the line, do you think I won't ask for money from my family? Who's the two of us? Said Lu Cheng. Thinking of himself, he said enviously, I don't know when I can ask Yan Zhuke out alone. Excluding the money for meals, he still had 700 yuan left. With the money he had saved up, it was enough for a few dates. But after that, how could he ask for more living expenses from his parents? It was so sad to be a poor student with no other source of income. Let's not talk about whether your relationship is good enough and whether you have a chance. Just based on the recent arrangements, you have no hope in a short time. Kai Zhongming laughed. You have special training every day and martial arts competitions on weekends. You need all kinds of help. How can you have time for dates? Wait until mid-December, when the group competition ends. If we don't qualify, you will have more time. At that time, there will be an amateur ranking event at the end of December. It's a good excuse for dates. Save your money. Bear with it, don't waste this 700 yuan. Lu Cheng nodded hard. Alas, I'm so busy that I don't even have a chance to do part-time work. After chatting with Kai Zhongming, he saw Yan Zhuke's reply. She also said that he smiled foolishly during the interview. If it was made into an emoji pack, it would be a black mark for life. With a silly smile on his face, Lu Cheng held his phone and began to chat with her eagerly. At the end of November, it was already winter. The cold wind hit, but the Songqing University Martial Arts Club Stadium was overflowing with waves of heat and waves of cheers. This was the first match of the group competition of the National University Martial Arts Competitions, as well as the most important one for Songqing University Martial Arts Club. In the previous knockout round, Lin Ke had shown his invincible strength and defeated the Inland Sea Normal University. In the duel with Qinyang University, he had also won 2 rounds in a row and knocked the 2 strongest opponents out of the ring. He had only given up the 3rd round because he had used up too much of his strength. After that, except for the unexpected injury of Sun Jian, the second fighter, Songqing University Martial Arts Club had smoothly entered the group stage. Lin Ke's performance had raised the expectations of all the teachers and students in the school. After a long time, the martial arts hall was once again filled with spectators. In the group, besides Songqing University, there were also Shanbei University, Guanan School, and Luqing University of Science and Technology. Shanbei University was the champion last year. This year, their main force was still there, so Songqing University could not challenge them. Luqing University of Science and Technology was not strong enough to enter the group competition. Therefore, for Songqing University, Guanan School, which was at the same level as them, was a stumbling block for them to enter the top 8. The first match of the group competition, Songqing University versus Guanan School. Guanan is actually a little stronger than us, but he was defeated by the rising Sanjiang College in the first round of the knockout round last year. His score is not as good as ours, so we have the home field advantage, so we're on par with him. Geezer Sher wore a black old man's hat and was explaining the situation of Guanan School Martial Arts Club to the main force and substitutes. The women's locker room was given to Guanan. Lin Hua and Guo Qing were also in the men's locker room. After all, there was a separate bathroom. Lu Cheng, who was in charge of logistics, listened to Geezer Sher's introduction with curiosity. Waves of shouts came from outside the door. Songqing University. Songqing University. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.